all outliers. How is this sharing our achievements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off Grand Champion May Day, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, 2-time Best in Show and 2-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, and Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of achievements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all outliers. How is this sharing our achievements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off Grand Champion May Day, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, 2-time Best in Show and 2-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, and Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of achievements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all outliers. How is this sharing our achievements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off Grand Champion May Day, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, 2-time Best in Show and 2-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, and Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of achievements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all-out liars. How is this sharing our archivements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off Grand Champion Mayday, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, 2-time Best in Show and 2-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, and Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of archivements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my decatation was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all-out liars. How is this sharing our archivements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off Grand Champion Mayday, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, 2-time Best in Show and 2-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, and Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of archivements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my decatation was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all-out liars. How is this sharing our archivements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off Grand Champion Mayday, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, 2-time Best in Show and 2-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, and Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
The dog game is dying. Let's talk about the game first, not the dogs. It's the challenge of the wins, the competitive addiction, the thrill of the win, and the rewards of archivements. Losing only gives you the drive to come back. I learned to watch the winners, my motivation was there, my dedication was evident, now I'm a winner. The problem is the cheating to win, manipulating the truth, and then it's the all outliers. How is this sharing our archivements with liars, cheaters, and bullshitters? We have lost the historical value of the dog game. We can't decipher the real from the fake, the lost is the cost. So I salute these dogs of going hard kennels for all that you've given me in the game.
Let's talk about pit bulls. The history, the breeding, the maintaining and feeding, and the controversies surrounding the great hunts. Come interact with the legends, and ask questions, and listen to their stories as we talk about kennels and dogs of the past and present. Hosted by one of the game's most respected kennels, with over 40 years in the hunt, going hard kennels Twin 1 and Twin 2, dogs like Champion the Debrat, the very first champion off-brand Champion Mayday, the Dog of the Year, and Register of Merit. Champion Pretty Mama, 2-time Best in Show and 2-time Gamest in Show. Going Hard's Bay Bay, Register of Merit, Damn to Champion What a Day, Champion Gus, Champion Elrod, Champion Yellowbird. So pull up a seat, and let's talk dogs.
What up? What up? What up? Big shout out to everybody out there in the Shark Tank. Big shout out to all my people out there on the back street. My buffs, I'm sitting out here paying no attention. Hold on, let me get this down here. What up, y'all? Let me get my big shout outs right quick before we get started here. Big shout out to my man Bloodthirst, aka Javi360 in the house. What up, fam? Big shout out to my man Unleashed. I see you, fam. Yo, K-Man in the house. What up, fam? Big shout out to my man, Mr. William Torres. What up, fam? Yo, Pit Dog, my brother. What up, fam? Simplified brothers for always and forever, baby. Big shout out to the Viking Royal family in the house. What up, fam? Let me see. Big shout out to my man, Eli Monster. What up, fam? Big shout out to GSK, my man Ben, Debo 3. What up, fam? Hey, appreciate everybody for showing up. Yo, look, don't forget to hit that like button. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. You know, before we get started, you know, I got to do my little thing. And what my little thing is going to be about tonight is, look, if you look at the history of the American Pit Bull Terrier, the evolution of the dog man and the dogs, it changes. It changed over the years. Like, let's go back. Like, we talk about Tudor, Kobe. We know Lightner was around, them old guys. And think about what made Tudor different than all of them. Even though Kobe had a name, I mean, I got to give it to Kobe because he had a name for himself. I mean, we still talk about Kobe dogs to this day. Not as much as the Lightner dogs, but we can't forget about them because they were the hot commodity back then. And there's a couple more. If you just go back and look at Daibo's pedigree, just get an understanding. What were they doing back then? They was taking something that got off a boat And then they started creating that American Pit Bull Terrier. And then what separated? Where did the separation come from? How did it become so competitive? Well, they made it competitive because everybody, and it wasn't that many. You could almost say it's a handful, y'all. We're talking about in the beginning, it was just a handful. So for like Centipede and all them great dogs back in the day that was known as great box dogs, 12 and 14, but nobody writing nothing down. You know, they just wasn't, they was 14-time winners and, 10-time winners. I mean, you got to look at the fact that that bunch of them, I say the forefathers of the American Pit Bull Terrier dog game, few and far in between. Tudor had to have somebody he was going into. For a dog to win 14, that's 14 opponents that he had to go into. And if you look back on history, it's a whole lot of that going on. And if you look at the history close enough to where you can actually see some of these old match reports, there's a lot of names in some of the match reports that you never ever heard of. So what I'm getting at is, as you notice, the cream always come to the top, even in this game. So that means the dogs and the dogmen were progressing. They were evolving. The American Pit Bull Terrier back in the day, like we always, remember conventions all over the country? Remember, it's always funny for me to say it, but remember they was dog fighting in Madison Square Garden, one of the biggest historical arenas in America. Because of the popularity. Remember, they didn't have the law. Basically, the law didn't exist then. So in the beginning of the match game, the dogs, the breedings, the men, can't really forget about them because historically, you got to remember where it all come from. You're looking at that little collection of dogmen that led to the creation of what we basically deal with today, because it evolved over the years. But keep this in mind, gentlemen. As the dogmen, like all of us, we had to start somewhere. They didn't just come into the game, cracking heads. Somebody might have stood out and had a dog that might have been just a little bit better, and he was running around doing his thing. Tudor and Kobe, all of them. We all know what they was doing. If you grab a history book, it'll tell you what they was doing. Everybody was trying to create that ultimate box dog, the game dog. You didn't hear about the breeder. We didn't, like we have today, we got the breeder and then we got the dog man. You got a dog man who's a breeder, using his own stock, creating his own name. And then you just got the breeder. And in some cases, you just got the dog man who uses the breeder. That's where, the dog man, he gonna go to the breeder because he wants to be the game dog man. So he's not breeding up his stock. He's going around buying up his stock for that competitive nature. All this grew and evolved over time. And we know with time, things are supposed to get better. Why? Because the people with the dogs got better. It was more than just Kobe. Leitner, Tudor, Hubbard. Mo know them names better than I do, but just to put y'all in that mind frame of look at that community and how it evolved into just something that was actually well known and accepted at one time in this country. To the point where we're at now, which is totally unacceptable. But the dogs have always been the dogs. It's the men who made the dogs better. And that's where we get the big explosion. Because we're heading in the direction of a creation that's coming to extinction. Total extinct. The dogman. I'm going to keep saying the dogman, but I'm going to say the game dogman. And the game American Pit Bull Terrier. The reason I say that, fellas, because I need y'all to understand this. Way back then when it started, they did have a purpose. Trust and believe what I'm telling you. Go back and read the history. When they came off that boat, they already had the intentions. They already had the purpose set and what they were going to do with these type of dogs. And as this game evolved and that community got bigger and bigger, that never changed. Of course, some people find different things to do with these dogs, but never to the level of the original purpose. If you're evolving based on that purpose, knowing we don't have them 14-time winning ass pit bulls, because as you evolved, other people evolved with their skills and their breeding programs. The competition, even way back then, things got harder. Why? Because you have more people coming in. Better dog breeding's going on. We always look at Tudor, and damn near every pit bull gonna always lead back to Tudor. But come on now, we can go beyond Tudor and think about all them other names prior to when we start looking at Tudor. Because again, if you go beyond Tudor and go beyond Kobe, this game is fresh. That's like you coming into the neighborhood and ain't but 2 pit bulls in the whole neighborhood. Them 2 meet up, boom. Oh boy, he got the better pit bull. But as time goes on, there's more pit bulls coming into the yard, into the neighborhood. Can old boy who started out that one, can he feed? Can he survive? Is that pit bull good enough to survive everything that's coming in? Well, how many times you think he gonna keep knocking them off? Because time will show you, which I always kind of put Tudor in there, because he was that one that was really knocking everybody's heads off. That's why we still talk about it. I mean, I hear some call him the grandfather of the game American Pit Bull Terrier. Every pit bull gonna always lead back to Dibo, but we know that's not true. But when it came to the game American Pit Bull Terrier, the man who had that real deal is one of the reasons why Tudor was that cream that rose to the top. Now, it's everybody else, as this game evolved, started using that and taking advantage of the good, and the dogs got better, and the men with the dogs become even better. But think about what I'm saying. That's the purpose. That's the hard part of seeing the things that as history has given us, the laws changed, people changed, breeding programs changed, story words come into the game, drugs is now a part of the game, drugs and dog. I mean, the evolution of the game, American Pit Bull Terrier, Dogman, and the dogs have evolved. And along that walkway, we still talk about what was the purpose. Remember, I showed y'all they had dog shows, weight pulling, all of that. Used to draw big crowds. Why did that fall off? Why wasn't that able to maintain? Y'all seen the pictures on the one show for those who haven't, you know. Sometimes we need to revisit that, or if you do, just do a little bit of research, you'll see. Confirmation shows and wall and weight pulling used to be a thing. You had the kids out there, the family, you had your whole family out there. Everybody representing that dog. But why did that fall off? Because the purpose, the original purpose of these dogs took hold compared to the weight pulling. You know what I'm saying? The confirmation. You even had dogmen, box game dogmen in these confirmation shows. Never heard of one doing a weight pull and doing the same thing, but I know confirmation wise, you know, we have a couple, you know, great box dogs that were confirmation dogs, confirmation winners. But it still never outshined that original purpose. And as we come down through history, you know, I kind of looked at how things changed. Even though we got the dogs in the early 80s, made it a point over the last damn near 40 years of dealing with these dogs, understanding the entire game, not just from our aspect, but some of the great names that we even talk about still today. But why, twin? Because unlike every dog, man, we all have a different purpose. And there's some of us, you know, I give my shout outs to the ones who had the cojones to jump out there and become part of something, you know, that was important to trying to be that cream rising to the top. Amongst your peers of the same purpose. It was important to some of them to create and be recognized amongst their peers. So that little community that used to be small back then, oh my gosh, did it start growing and growing. The competition got stiffer. Now we got great dogs all over the place. To even have the foreign countries the Europeans, the Balkans, Russia, South Africa. I mean, think about all the places in the world that American Pit Bull Terrier that was actually created in the United States of America has become an international dog. International. Regardless of what people want to think about them, you know what I mean, the good and the bad, the fact is, we know the fact is, they are world renowned. purpose might change, but the popularity sure as hell didn't. And to me, that's important because we're at a point now in that chain of evolution, that process of evolution. And we all know, we're all grown enough to know dinosaurs are extinct now. We know they used to be here. You know, it's a fact because of the bones. Just like we dig up bones of dead people, you know, they still be there. They still have evidence the dinosaurs did exist. We just don't see them now. And we have what they call, we have animals of that resemblance, like the alligator. The alligator, he probably never really changed as a reptile. He just not as big. You know, look at that. Look what he was eating on back then. You know, big meals. You know, big meals led to bigger things. But we're not dealing with that now because remember they're totally extinct. Extinct. So that's the way I'm looking at this game. What made them extinct? There had to be a big change. And for the American game dog, man and dogs, we have to look at sometimes that change is inevitable. It's no way possible that we can have the dogs with the same purpose. Because we're going back to the times of when it was just Tudor, Hubbard, Leitner, you know, some of the old back 1800s. Remember that's when it's all, you know, 1800s. Who was they going to be going into but each other? You know, like I said, Tudor, Kobe and them, they just happen to be that cream that rose to the top. If you think about and follow the history and how it kept growing and growing. I mean, look, I hear people talk about Tant, you know, even Victor. See, I was around in that time period when, whether y'all know it or not, but you could just check your history, that when Victor had Mayday and was started breeding Mayday, the people who made Victor and Mayday famous, the color changed. That's all. I mean, it's hard to find, for me anyway, maybe Mo might think of one. And, you know, we've seen pretty much a lot of the Mayday dogs, even litter mates and his offspring. Well, I ain't gonna even lie to you. People of color did that. Straight up. People of color did that. Look at the time frame, and then you can pay close attention how. And then you would understand why Tudor was able to do what he did when he had that small community. Look what that one dog did to our community. Because he really did change a lot of things. But that's what it looked like when that cream gets to the top. But moving forward, can we possibly really have the same dogs? I don't think so, only because the process is different. I'm a true believer in that underground being around for God knows how long. But what made these dogs better and how they evolved over the many years from where they first began? The competition. The competition made you create better. The competition spoke for itself. To me, that's what we talk about. That's what y'all, I'll be thinking y'all be glorifying. Because you're so back there willing to grab Floyd Boudreaux and David Tant and some of these other names that you're forgetting that history has shown you the names will change. The dog names have always changed, but the quality of the dog over time, it did get better. Kept on getting better. Maybe that's why we had so many matches. How many matches more we have in, what was that? 1999 or 2000? When we had them. 1998. Where was it? 17? 1,990 something matches reported in 1 year. When you go through that book and you look at the dogs in that book, just for that year, you're going to find a lot of dogs that you don't know, but you're going to find more dogs that you do know because it created a list of winners. And everybody was trying to get a winner. Same thing they were saying back then, they were saying during my time. But was we at our peak as we were going into the 2000s? We know the underground created more, they're still there. Can't help but respect the ones that carried what it took based on what your forefathers in this game created. But we can't maintain that now. We can't. Things are totally different. My thing is, can the game, is it actually really possible that the game American Pit Bull Terrier will one day become extinct? That's a question to ask. Because right now, in 2025, I really believe we have reached a explosive boom with a whole new purpose when it comes to these American Pit Bull Terriers. Everybody's selling dogs. The fear factor is, remember, like I take you back here and say, the only reason, you was breeding because you had a purpose, and the purpose was to make great dogs. Even some of the greatest dog men, and for my time, I'm gonna have to say that Super Kennels, STP, we can name all of them, but they're not known for breeders. Even though they've had the success of making some great breedings. Because they had great dogs. I mean, come on. I feel like being around so many dog men, just to know that what we did, we were able to create what we used. And what it did, it didn't get to the Ed Crenshaw's level, or some of the other, even Tom. I got to give Tom Garner his props, because he used to be a box man, but then he still sell dogs worthy of being bred. I mean, I can't take that from the man. But even through his concept, his ability to know what a real bulldog's supposed to be. He knows what he wants out of his breeding program. Whether you can hate it all you want, but the fact is, the rest of the world, the rest of the community, sometimes you got to give people their due respect. They got to get their props. But in the same token, same thing like it was in my time, same like it was prior to that. There was a whole lot of other men reaching that level of that cream rising to the top. And the only ones that can get to that level, them the ones you're always going to be talking about, and them the ones that's going to be always hard to forget. This community at one time was so big you couldn't know everybody. But if you think about over 2,000 matches in 1 year, and you looking at times that by 2, because it takes 2 to tangle, you know, that's a lot of that's just a lot of dog men doing things. Maybe that's the reason the law became to what it was. It became too much. Oh, and then just to be able to see that once the Alphabet crew came in and actually got their hand on the whole subscriber line, they came back with a number. It is 4,000 dog fighters. Literally, I think it would say 400. Was it 400? When the, yeah, I think I heard 400,000. Okay, 40,000. 40,000 dog fighters in the United States of America. 40,000 dog fighters in the United States of America. Now, you know how they exaggerate things. We all know we live in different parts of the country. But we also know, if we just go ahead and give ourselves reality checks, that's possible. Because out of that 40,000, there's only so many of that 40,000 that's going to be the cream that rise to the top. And y'all can see that in your own breeding programs. But guess what, you guys? The purpose never really changed. The purpose to even say that is going to be the same as it was when it first began. You just got a lot more people doing it. Because we know back in their time it wasn't 40,000 doing it. But boy, as time went, you can best believe them numbers start growing over them decades. The quality of the dog and the competition definitely got stiff. Never really seen a reason for it to fall off. But to live as long, to be alive to see, no, there is a possibility. It is a very serious possibility that the game dog, the game American Pit Bull Terrier, the American game dog man will become extinct. And maybe that's what they want. I'm not fighting against it. I'm not out here advocating for nobody to do anything illegal. Really. What I am sitting here saying to you tonight, before I let Mo get on here, is look, man. There's more people selling dogs, American Pit Bull Terriers, more breedings, but the purpose can't be the same. So I'm taking it like, I'm looking at all the young guys, okay? You young guys, got to remember now, at some point, for a person that was one of you young guys, I guarantee I ain't ran across a dog man yet that when you ask them, how did you get into, the American Pit Bull Terrier? they're going to be able to tell you how they became associated with that dog. And I guarantee you, 99.9% of them going to say something about their purpose. The purpose. Because what other reason would you have an American Pit Bull Terrier? The fascination of having one, but the purpose ain't the same. You can't learn and qualify and understand what it really took to become one of them people that had dogs to even have that CH or that GR or that ROM or that POR. Those are earned titles. Earned titles based on the purpose I speak of. These things is what this community evolved to. So I can't tell you what the future looks like. But I can tell you, after being around these dogs as long as I've been around the dogs, I can truly tell you the purpose has changed and will continue to change. I just don't understand how is it possible that everybody can sell dogs. It's a shocker. Because you have to understand. Think about, like I said back in Twitter in them days, they were building, creating based on quality of the competition, the quality and the knowledge of the DOGMEN, and the quality and the knowledge of their ability to train that dog for that purpose. When I say train the dog for the purpose, we know you do not have to teach a pit bull, a game pit bull, how to fight. That was just one of the, I guess, miracles of the creation of the process when they were doing this. They either gonna have it or they ain't. But how would you ever know if you never was looking to find out? Because you wouldn't know. That's my point. You wouldn't know. You know, for the centuries, the decades, they knew. And they tried to get better and better and better. See, maybe because I come from an era of competition. There was, for us, there was no, if it was discrimination going on, well, guess what, fellas? Pick up a journal and just look back in there. You know, you're going to find us, a lot of us brothers and Latinos and even some of my Asian friends. They were doing dogs. And there was some of them had some good damn dogs. But you don't hear about enough of them to really understand that the reality of this game, you know, hey, times changed and so did the people in the game. Competition got tough. And the dogs, actually, to me, they were better. Couldn't help it because look at the competition. So for me, that was important for that time. That's not important in the now. You're not going to preserve none of this blood back here on bullshit. It just ain't going to work. I'm pretty sure that the men who were doing this, there's no telling how many times that they were falling on their face. Because in order to be successful, you got to have another man on the other side. You got to have somebody else over there. And it was, You know, as time grew on, them faces stepping over that wall. You got to, they was coming over that wall with what they believed to be the cream that has risen to the top. And maybe that's why the law might be the way it is. Maybe that's why things are the way they are. I'm not here to blame anybody. What I'm here to do is just talk about when I hear things like, if you're new in the game and I hear you talk about you got game dogs, I'm lost. What's wrong with just having good pit bulls? You just got good dogs, just bred well. Okay, all that sounds good for if you're new to this, because somebody done told you that little, that paper on how you bred is supposed to be up, the be all. But I'm sorry, fellas, don't be mad at me because I didn't grow up in that era. Don't be mad at me and Mo because we don't know what that was like. How about we was trying to do what they were doing? How many times have you heard us say that? That's not a secret. That's not bragging. We always tell you, we will never achieve the level of how the cream rose for a lot of the people that we know. But we can say for ourselves, between us two and that GHK crew, DB3, you hear me? Ben, KP. You think about just being able to open a book and see your dog in there, or see other people talk about your dogs. Is that what we was trying to do? No. Actually, we was really trying to keep up with the names and the people that y'all talk about. We just keeping up. That's why Moku sit here and name a bunch of people. Guys like Ratliff and all them. I mean, y'all talk about them, but do y'all don't know what it is to be around them type of people? Okay, so some of my older fellas, they know where I'm coming from. Yeah, it's fun to sit back and talk dog when you would actually live that game, but then it's a whole lot different when you live that game based on that level. We always talk about there's levels to this game. Just having a chance and the dogs to just play in that part of the game, we couldn't help but appreciate it. Make us bigger and better. But one thing for sure, our confidence level about being able to get out there and do what Tudor and them was doing. Do what the average dog man that had a purpose was trying to do, and that is create the ultimate warrior when it came to an American game pit bull terrier. That ain't meant to hate on. I sit back and watch a lot of these shows out here. I sit back and read a lot of the chats. I also sit back and watch a whole bunch of comments. But in order to sit down and tell a story, sit down and listen to some of the stories of the ones who were actually able to do it. Okay. Mic check. Can I get a mic check? All right, fellas. Can y'all hear me? I'm back. I don't know what happened just then. Hey, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Big shout out. I'm doing that. Big shout out to my man, Little Rock, Legends of the Boxing. Big shout out to my man, Vernon Starr. Yo, the Mad Doctor, I see you, fam. Let's see here. If it's anybody I might have missed. Big shout out to the Game Breaker. What up, fam? Double M Desbos. Stop it. Hit that like button. Bite down and shake that like button. Yes, sir. Big shout out to my man, Mr. Brandon Crawford. What up, fam? Keep it A1 from day one. What up, fam? Outlaw Texas Kennel in the house. I see you, fam. My man, Mr. William McNeil. I see you. What up, fam? Pit Bulls and Prospecting. What up, fam? Appreciate that again. I'm pretty sure everybody can hear me. Yeah, they can hear me. I got all that love. Woody Wood! I see you. What up, fam? Welcome to the Shark Tank, man. But yeah, every time I be on the road, I think they be hitting my dang switch like somebody got control of it. But look, here's my thing, man. You got to trust in, I watch this community, and just come on. The quality of the dog is always going to have always been based on the people with the dogs, the community and the game. The competition in early days, what and all that, so 14, 10 times, 12 times, I think I even seen an 8-time winner. I mean, trying to imagine what that would look like, 8-time. I mean, we only have one double grand champion after all these years since they started reporting. Now, we've had some 7-time winners. You always had some 10 times, thrown out there, but see, based on the people, like Jack and, other people, that was responsible for handing out that recognition, you just didn't see that. I couldn't imagine what it would look. Look at Queen. Queen had 9 people. Well, 8 people. As devastating as she was, just 8. Look at Robert T. Kenny Oliver was going for his second. It would have been his second recognized double grand champion. He ain't make it. That's how hard it is. That's how hard it was. He could have went to any dog other than the dog he went to. That much I'm gonna let y'all know. He could have went into any dog and been able to accomplish that. That's why you gotta give my man Kenny Allen much respect. And I do. First of all, he proved his loyalty to the game because, hey, if I was really wanted to go out doing something, man, I swear, forgive me, Lord. But if that going out in the box, doing something you love, if that's the way you got to go out, then so be it. But those are one of them things where that was the bulldog. Yeah, there's some things that he could have did, a little different. But he was so convinced about that Robert T. dog. He was a champion beater. He was confident. But what's that other female he had that he wouldn't go on the queen with? Or wouldn't go on the roster man with? Who was that? Well, yeah, Tornado. I believe if he had a took Tornado in the roster, man, that would have been something, the history would have definitely had to talk about. And what's that one the Rebel Kennels had that wouldn't go on the Queen? Shady Lady. Now, they know who Queen was. He could have took that great Shady Lady, and went in the Queen. And I'll tell you right now, Queen might have been a damn double grand champion after something like that because she would have deserved it. Why would you get the 9? I mean, he could have made Kenny 9 and then skated his way in on the number 10 because you took out the best of the best. Because I really believe Queen would have took her out. But these things had the ability of happening, fellas, and I'm telling you, this is what competition do. Sometimes it just pay to leave certain things alone, and some of the great dog men, they had a little bit of that. You can't hate them because they knew that, but just didn't put it out there. I don't want to do it. No, there's nobody doing that. But the fact is, there's a lot in the history of this game that where a lot of guys did do that. But they all had a purpose. They was all trying to be part of that cream rising to the top. I'm just putting it out there. We all built from a different cloth. The levels are different. But we're going from, I think we're moving closer to extinction. Excuse me. Simply because the purpose has changed. And that's all right. But when you start talking about the old heads, and then I'm sitting here looking at the what they call the Neos and the Y, X's, and whatever these generation is, these dog men right here, some of them don't even know the history. Some of us old heads, yeah. I heard somebody say, who beat Sandman? I think it was I'm not gonna say who said it, but y'all here knowing the game, and we talk this game, but one of the greatest fights of all time, matches of all time. All right. I'm back. Am I coming back? Am I coming back? I'm back. Hey, I don't know what's happening. They're just killing me. But let me take you. Let me explain something to y'all before I get off here. We spent a lot of years coming out of Ohio. You're talking about from North Carolina, 4 dogs, to going to Ohio, 10 to 15 dogs on the yard, to coming to Florida, and the most we ever had on the yard was 80. But I've been on men's yards, learning and watching, seeing hundreds, 1, 200. Some had 2 and 3 yards, and if we had been dealing with so many dogs and wasn't being able to get what we got out of this game after being around all the people that we was around learning and trying to at least do what they were doing, because that's what that drive was. I wanted to be just like them when it came to the dogs. Can't hate on nobody for if that's what they choose to do. And yeah, it was a great feat for us to even have a champion between our legs, let alone creating some ROMs, and then even better to have them in other people's hands doing the same thing they was doing for us. Never claimed to be Floyd Boudreaux or none of that. Never looked at ourselves like that. But I can also, I feel comfortable when I look back on our history and be like, man, how could we possibly fail with all the breakthroughs we was getting? All the opportunity that we had, all the knowledge that we were able to suck up, didn't come from writing and reading a damn book, but actually just being around the people. Actually really felt like part of that fast lane community. Maybe that's why we were so dedicated to it, because that's what it took to stay there. Maybe that's why, they had them late night arguments back and forth, and maybe that's why we got on the road to prove our point. But we had a purpose. Our purpose was no different than theirs. All we can do now is sit back and appreciate the fact that we were able to do it. But moving forward, I don't wish that on nobody. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was all right to be out there running around and doing things when you're young, but when you get older, you don't have time to be giving nobody no time, especially, 10 and 15 years. Dope man look good when he out there rolling. Things don't look so good when he fall behind them bars. Empire gone. Dogs gone. I mean, we've had a whole lot of that over the decades. A lot of great dogs gone, totally wiped out. Just keep this in mind while y'all here selling dogs. Is it really worth it if you're not doing it based on the purpose of why an American Pit Bull Terrier became the game American Pit Bull Terrier? There's a difference. There's a different level. That's why it's important for the ones who keep screaming this, we in a new era, and what it's supposed to look like. I hope I live long enough to see what it looked like, and just hopefully it will be able to change the public view. Just maybe. Maybe it'll turn into a new direction, and we got 50 more years, 100 years of the new direction. I would love to live long enough to just see it at least start to have a general idea of what the new direction looks like. And that's not hating on it now. That's just trying to get you guys to understand this thing evolved over many years. It still has yet to change what it has started out being. The game changed. The dogs changed. The dogmen changed. But evolution also showed us that the dogs got better. How do we know? History tells us that. And you notice the purpose didn't change. So I respect the young. That's why I say grab the books, grab all the history, as much information. Just become engulfed. But you can't get stuck back in the past because y'all can't do what we did. Y'all can't do what other countries are doing. We're not we're not them we're not those people anymore. The game is not the same. So while you out there bragging on your papers, bragging on your dogs, of course it's an American Pit Bull Terrier. We all know about, it's obvious it's an American Pit Bull Terrier. But what kind is he really? That's why it's hard for me to hear you talk about a dog being game. How is that possible? From the world I come from, to be able to even say that. You mean just to even say that? How? There's going to be that question. So I don't want people to take offense when we have these type of comments. And when I hear, I'm watching, I'm listening, and I'm just trying to get y'all to understand that. Look, we old heads, true enough. But man, guess what? We still talking about the American Pit Bull Terrier. Can't be mad if we can't get away from what the actual purpose was. And I've yet to see what the new purpose is. So if that means you gotta hate on us, you got a whole lot of people to be hating on. If it don't be able for them people and everything that led up to the dogs that we have of the day, you wouldn't have nothing to be talking about. You wouldn't have nothing to be selling. So at some point, you got to just respect the game for what it was. And don't worry about what it is today. Because our underground, they've always taken care of that. And how y'all move forward, but just keep this in mind. Respect the dog first. Because the quality of the dog is always going to be on the dog man. That's why you engulf the history. Because you got a pit bull just to have one, that's cool. It's your right. Some of us just went a little bit further, that's all. Respect that part right there. Respect the history. If you don't know, hey, you shouldn't have to go to a podcast to sit back and try to learn the history of the dogs. I think with all the information out there, all the men that talk about them, I heard somebody say they've been in the dogs 20 something plus years and got mad when somebody, spoke on what you got to show for it. Literally, you got mad. Who is you to even be asking me? I think we kind of go for that opportunity because, Mo is one of them that he will be glad to tell you. But then don't be mad at him when they come at you and ask you, well, how long you been doing this or what you have to show for it. Because Journey, when you in the room with a bunch of dog men, I'm always one of them to be like, we used to just sit back and just listen and chill. Sneaky way of getting information is just sit down and just have a conversation and let them talk. That's why it's funny, even to the Abrahams. We used to always, we was always cool. We was always talking. But, just that one little thing that we used to take from them, and how the brothers, they communicated and how they did things. That when they did see us and it was our turn, they they laugh because I always felt like I acted like Nate or acted like Joe because the things that we used to watch them do, and we incorporated into the things that we was doing because we understood why they were doing what they were doing. There's a purpose. There's a reason he's over there. There's a reason why he's looking back at his brother. The communication, the way they just worked as a team was exciting. They were successful doing it. Why wouldn't we want to do it? But these are the things I'm trying to get you guys to just follow along with us as I get ready to turn this over to Mo. This ain't about hating. This is not about, knocking what people do. This is about the history of the American Pit Bull Terrier and the men who were responsible. They deserve more, the recognition. Okay? And it's up to the community to make sure that history is never forgotten. A lot of people don't know about Eminem. But if you go back and look, you'll see they about that life. Some of y'all don't know about the Untouchables. But if you go back and look, you'll see. Some people don't know about Super Kennels. I mean, I hear people talking about STP, one more dog. No, they didn't. There's a group of guys out there, there's a kennel that in my time, they've done more than STP. But y'all don't know about them. You hear about them, but you really don't know. You can't know about them because I don't hear people talking about them. I still hear people saying STP, what they did. But no, they're not. They're not the highest when it comes to that. Super Kennels is. And no, they wasn't doing bullshit. They was amongst the time when this game was at its all-time high. And they were able to do what they did in that time frame, in that time of era. Not everybody can say that. So I give respect to all those. Those are the ones that you need to just do your research on and understand that, hey, pay close attention. When you start talking about the history of the dogs, there's a lot more people you can talk about, and we're going to be trying to talk about it. So don't hate on me. Don't be mad at me because I might have missed you. But we try to get them all in. Even the ones that y'all call the Mr. Nobodies. We really have to be dealing with the Mr. Nobodies based on the fact that if you had the opportunity to do what you do, that's the only way you're going to find out if you can be able to get on that level to maintain and stay out on that level. You will not be a Mr. Nobody. You're going to be somebody. Even when you ain't trying to be somebody, you're going to be somebody. So that Mr. Nobody shit don't work for me. Just accept the different levels that the game was played on and then move on. You don't bash a person because they didn't do what we was doing, and we ain't going to be bashing nobody who wasn't doing what we was doing. But we're going to let the facts speak for itself. You chose one way and the other ones chose another way, and let everybody just make sure you stay in your lane. Because Mr. Nobody didn't have to be a nobody. Because we sure as hell wasn't trying to work to be somebody. We was just doing like everybody else. Report it, read it, make it your own, and get out there with it. That's what the game that I come from. Those slogans, don't talk about it, be about it. That's the life that we used to live when it came down to these dogs. Yeah, we always, you get up the hype thing, but the But when it got down to the real deal, we was going to find the answers to that one major question: who had the better animal? And the fact is, we always got an answer. This game was built on that answer. I'm gonna leave it like that. On you, Mo.
Yay. What's up? What up, everybody? Let me get my glasses out. What's up, everybody? I know I look like I'm tired. No, I ain't tired. I'm moving around.
Professor, you Professor Mo?
Yeah, I got to put my professor hat on today. We're reiterating on some of Mike's comments tonight. Okay, yeah. Reiterating on it. I always try to say, remember our purpose of the show. We do not talk in the now. I don't. Because I don't know nothing about the now. And I am like, again, I make this comment because James Jabo put it in the best perspective. I mean, they say he frowns to these other things other than the past. Don't take that as being a disrespect to y'all. I don't take that as being a disrespect at all. I take that as, because I say the same thing. I know what I'm feeding. You know what I'm saying? Now, if we're going to speak on, me understanding what J-Bo's saying, I know what J-Bo feeding based on what I'm feeding. What we was feeding, ain't feeding what y'all talking about now. You know what I'm saying? But it's a totally different aspect. You cannot try to merge those two together and think that that's going to work, because it don't. So understanding that he's from another era as myself, and what we was feeding based on our time would be totally unacceptable in y'all time, as far as us understanding what y'all trying to say. That's like taking us and putting it over here with y'all, and then don't understand why we acting the way we acting and saying the things that we saying. It's because we the ones that be looking out of place. We the ones looking out of place. We the ones that look like the haters because we don't want to accept. We ain't feeding shit like that. We ain't grabbing papers and out here trying to sell dogs. You know what I'm saying? We ain't talking higher than our dog. You know what I mean? We ain't, that's not our air. So we are definitely out of place, probably pissing people off by saying something that's literally true and understanding based on where he comes from and based on where y'all at. Two different eras, so they don't really have no connection. The connection is the way you take your pedigrees and you build off these pedigrees, and you're building off what was based on me and J-Bo air. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are really pricing your animals not based on nothing that we feed. Based on reading, not feeding. You know what I'm saying? Because, we wasn't reading when we was feeding. You know what I'm saying? And y'all base y'all pedigrees on reading instead of feeding. And then that's where the separation comes from. But me, I understand clearly. I don't have no issue about, that class. Because I stays in my lane. And it might sound hurtful sometimes when I can sit back here in my lane and look at y'all and then agree with J-Bo. Because J-Bo said it. I'm going to put the statement on J-Bo. I'm just going to ride with the statement. So she said I kicked him off the bus. Well, he made a statement that got him on my bus. Because I'm riding with him, not knocking. Nothing. It just, don't take it as a hate. Just take it as an understanding. Because we was not feeding our dogs and breeding and going through all the ups and downs. You know what I'm saying? And saying, because my dog got this good pedigree, my dog bad. That's just bottom line. Motherfucker shaking the flirt pole and being all aggressive and shit, with that, that look like there's something that needs to be put on Facebook or a Snapchat or what you call it, Twitter and all that. Me and J-Bo, we look at that and be like, look, we probably was sitting in the same room and we'd be looking at each other laughing. Probably ain't gotta say nothing, just start laughing and kick our beers together like we doing a toasting to turn up and continue laughing. You know what I'm saying? Because why are we laughing? Because a dog like that shaking the pole, taking that flirt like that, and scratching across there all hard, yeah, it would perk us up too. You know what I'm saying? But I guarantee you, if I was to walk after showing J-Bo my dog on the flirt bro and walking up to J-Bo and saying, well, I told you he was a bad one, J-Bo probably laugh at me. Like I would laugh at him. Don't come up here telling me what we've been sitting here looking at is a grand champion or something. Yeah, he ain't getting chopped on and he ain't have to be worked and he ain't doing this and he ain't doing that. I know damn well you ain't trying to come up there and try to convince me that this shit that I'm just sitting here watching us sit out here and drink a beer over while we sitting here watching this dog beat up on this flirt pole, making him a badass. Right then, man, Joy Bogan, we can unclip some shit. What you saying, twin? I'm trying to tell you and this motherfucker on the flirt pole with shit. I got a damn squirrel I got a harness on to shake harder than that. Next thing you know, me and J-Bo, we're trying to find a place to play. Because that's what we feed our shit for. That's what we breed our shit for. Now, you really want to see how good he want to shake something? Let me bring some shit over here to you. And he vice versa. See, that is the urge of competition. And competitiveness is what we drove on. Who wants to feed a yard full of curs? I mean, we're not calling y'all dogs curs. We're talking about our dogs. I mean, how many of these things in here we going to keep going home grabbing and keep coming home with an empty chain space? How many is that going to take before you go back out there and count what's remaining?
Some of them was bringing them back home.
A lot of them bring them back home. I know a few of them that came back home and didn't tell nobody the truth. There's a couple of them out there with lies under their belt. You know what I'm saying? Hey. I ain't saying he ain't no bad dog. I'm just saying there was one time in his life that he wasn't a good dog. That's all. No need to fail to mention that when there's people around you that really know that, hey, there's something missing there. You know what I'm saying? through time, you know, those may forget, but everybody's not dead. So if you notice those things that are there that exist from my time, you know, I don't just go out and put them on blast. I mean, there's a couple of them out there that I ain't throwing out there under the bus. But, you know, through time, people probably forget, or they just figure, you know, they don't want the blemish there, so they just don't speak on it and let it ride. I mean, a loss is a loss. Just imagine all the dogs that went out here and won these titles. Just remember, you know, there's people that got losses behind those. So for every great dog, there's some other dogs that got losses. You know, you see a couple of these kennels and stuff that you're going to see in some of these great dogs and be like, you know, you keep seeing these certain kennels popping up. But you're finding them in certificates of other good dogs. And you be wondering, man, how many times they're going to keep going to their yard, man? They should be cleaned out by now. I mean, for real. I'm going to go through this book here, a little couple of them, point out some things. But there's some times in there, man, when you was coming into the game, man, and you probably had that D money, you know, and you probably got your hands on some dogs, and you just wanted to come out and just go straight into the fast lane. And you know, that's the way you do it. I guess, you know, you're going to get your head cracked until you get to that level that you're trying to get to. Sooner or later, you're going to eventually get there. But, you know, it is a hard struggle when you constantly going into big kennels and losing. You know, you say you want to bring your best. You're putting in the work like you're bringing your best. You know, sometimes that best is just not enough to beat the kennels that it takes to win. And I think a lot of guys, you know, they teared away from that. But then there was a lot of guys who didn't. You know, everybody who's ever stepped in there had an opportunity to win. You give a damn how great the dog was. There was still somebody standing over there who evidently, you know, when you gambling, you know, that means that you believe that your gamble is just as good as the dog you're going into because y'all betting the same thing and you're both being the dog. So, hey, you know, let the toss come. Because the only way it's going to be able to be answered is when you cut them loose. That's our error. I'm pretty sure it got even bigger out of the 1800s and got down here into the 90s when there was a lot of dogmen out there. And there was a lot of great dogs out there because the ones that was making all the good money was the breeders. And Lord knows, don't talk about the ones who was coming up with their own line of dogs on the yard. You know, like Ricky Jones, he could breed his own stock, work his own stock, hardcore, Stone City, Southern Kennels. You know what I'm saying? Going hard. I mean, I learned paying attention to them. You know what I'm saying? That's the truth. Triple M. I mean, there's a lot of them. Loctite, you know, Super Kennels. Like, they did pretty good breeding their own. They grabbed a lot of them out there in the lane. They didn't have no problem going out buying dogs either to make their yards and making like they were. You know, they was like STP. STP did the same thing. He bought Luke Kane, so you know, ain't no difference. He bought Luke Kane. He bought a couple dogs. You know what I'm saying? And made them great. So I just don't want y'all caught up into hating me because I'm back here. Well, I ain't never tried to be up here with y'all anyway. You know, I ain't never tried to claim no fame up here with y'all. Cause what are we grabbing at? My grab is something totally different than y'all grab. You know, I was up in y'all time. You know, I would still be out of place. You know, I wouldn't even be on this doing this shit here at all. Y'all wouldn't even know me unless y'all have some visionary glasses. You can see in the dark. You know, other than that, it'd be like this one. I ain't be a story for y'all. This is historical. conversation. You know, and fictional, because by me telling y'all can tell everybody the stories that I done told you guys about a lot of the great dog men, the ones that even been on the show. The ones that be down in the chat room hollering out. You know, them guys is from our time. You know what I'm saying? They're not from y'all's. So they do give y'all the utmost respect on what y'all trying to do. I think y'all just don't like that part where, you know, you can't get mad when y'all try to explain to us that y'all dogs are getting better than our dogs. You know, I think that's where the clash come in at, because we're not trying to be better than y'all dogs. Our dogs is already set that mark. The only ones who can be trying to be better than anybody is y'all trying to be better than us. And there's no, you're going to get a reflection of resentment, and definitely going to get some get back on that conversation, because y'all are not even on the same conversation. How could you even compare what y'all doing to what we did? It's just no comparison. Y'all ain't putting shit down. Y'all breeding this shit and charging kind of money we would love to charge. Back then, our day, y'all would have been buying better shit for damn sure. You know, that's coming from a person from back in the day, and I wouldn't be the first one to say it. So, you know, again, it's a conversation that really shouldn't be had, because what I'm talking about is something totally different than what y'all talking about. And it really is. You know, maybe we need to understand y'all knew good. You know, we have to understand y'all knew good. You know, maybe it's hard for us to understand y'all what y'all call good today. You know, and maybe we need to be a little bit more compassionate to our personal feelings pertaining to a true bulldog compared to what y'all claim a true bulldog is. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm just trying to explain, you know, even my boy J-Bo, you know, and keep in mind, J-Bo just not anybody. He's somebody. You know, and he done his rank and done his routes, even though it might be in a localized area. He's in an area that was, you know, very well known in the history of the dog game, like Cajun country, a real rough place to play. If you can win in Cajun country, you can win anywhere. And if you could not win in Cajun country, that's okay, because it was stiff competition. And when the Cajun country ever just so happened to ever slip out there and get out there, you know, they lost too. Maybe they had to come out and go venture around and finding out that, you know, everybody don't come down into the Cajun country. But they had a couple good kennels, X-Men, Click, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Kimmer. I mean, these were Cajun dog men that just were damn good dog men. You know, I don't know where Doucette was. I don't know if he was down in that area or was he up there in the north around with us. But, you know, he popped up in a lot of good places, so he got around. But, you know, I think we take, yeah, like down Rudy, yeah, he was a Cajun man. He was down in that area. I mean, all these were great dog men. They were fast lane dog men. Definitely that. You know, and that's what made the history. But it wouldn't be no history, guys, if it don't be for the losers. You know, and that's what I want to keep reminding a lot of you guys. You know, I think we spend too much time, you know, bashing something that's just totally irrelevant to what you guys are trying to do today. You know what I mean? And whatever it is you're trying to do today, at least it's something that you can bring out here and put on your podcasts. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about getting in no trouble and, you know what I'm saying, and getting your yards rated. Imagine somebody trying to come out here and talk what we talk about in the past and be chopping up like they doing shit now. How long would that podcast last? Imagine that. Who would really be that foolish? I see it on Facebook, but imagine somebody literally really taking a chance and trying to do that. Y'all know it wouldn't work. Because they would be the lone soldier out here. And just imagine how they would just, it wouldn't be safe for y'all to say anything to them. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, I wouldn't. That's like putting me and J-Boy up here, putting us back in the dogs, and we running like Free Willy around here. And no, we don't even dig just climb the tree or hanging from a damn flirt pole and all that. What is that supposed to tell us? Imagine somebody like us running around. And every time we turn around, we looking at each other. So what you think? I don't know what to think. You want me first or you want me to get you? You know what I mean? So because we're going to be picky. Man, yeah, let's see how game he is. You get to calling out people, and get to pointing out issues and saying this and saying that. And, okay, it's easy to probably condition 10 dogs if you ain't matching them. I take out 6 dogs every day that needs to be walked every day. They Malinois, but hey, they need to be walked. So if I had 6 pits that needed to be walked, I could add an extra 4 a day in there to take them a couple blocks and turn around. Wait, he ain't got to work hard. All he's doing is going to be running a treadmill or running up a tree or pulling some weights or, trying to catch a squirrel. You know what I'm saying? Catch the squirrel and run up on him, and then all you see, all his hair stand up, tail curl up and everything. Squirrel sitting up there trying to do some kung fu, and your boy ain't snatched him up or nothing. He just standing there looking at it. But that's what we should expect. Me and Jay, squirrel run around there and hit that tree and he wants to do some kung fu. Poor thing. That's all we gonna say. Poor thing, should have hit that tree faster, bro. Because our dog climb a tree when he game. He gets pointed into a direction. He ain't looking at the flirt pole. He looking at the live bait, the thing that got his drive. So if that squirrel don't hit the right branch to get up out that jump, that bulldog gonna get up there and act like a leopard, and he gonna get him. He got him. He ain't gonna run over there and run up on him and send the squirrel break down or the raccoon break down or the possum break down on him. They stand there looking at him. Okay, what the hell is this shit? Okay, ain't he supposed to run? He looking at his owner and he ain't running. I don't know if y'all remember Pro. You know what I mean? Was that John? Yeah. John chasing that squirrel broke down on John. John had to hold up and had to take it back. Look at Pro like they usually run, bro. This one right here, he act like he trying to stay. What you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? No, I was there. I made a comment. Look, man, we need to put the harness on that squirrel. Who said that? One of the boys said it on his show.
No, it was on our show. He said, I think that was Coach Blue.
Coach Blue, yeah, it was Coach Blue. Coach Blue, he was talking about that video. That was the funniest, man. It was really the funniest. Not trying to put Pro down, but just imagine, we talking about this squirrel and this dog, but we taking it in the aspect of our time. It just wouldn't be an acceptable thing in our time. Not saying it's not accepted in y'all time, but y'all ain't out there really trying to have y'all dogs hunt down, sit and kill it and all that. Like back in our days when we using squirrels and cats and raccoons and possums to bait the damn dog just to run a meal or run any damn thing. You know what I'm saying? As a drive to drive them because, that's what they want. They want that contact. They want that involvement, whether it be animal, dog, whatever. That's what they do. You know, so we're not trying to share that space and take that what you guys are trying to do now. But it is funny to hear us, talk about it because, I think it's because of these shows, and the fact that we go into the historical parts of the shows where our historical, what I call mentality, it could be a little, hard on you guys trying to do it the right way when you got guys like, us that, will probably say something that you may not like, like one of the things is when we call them pet bulls instead of pit bulls. Well, if you need to call them something else other than pit bulls because they ain't being pitted, that's a old school, conversation that, many guys would get pissed off about in the now. You wouldn't want to hear a dog man from my time say that. Based on our competitive need and what we feed, based on y'all and in the new era of raising these dogs in a new light, Maybe we're at fault, but we're not at fault trying to bring you down. We just don't feel like back here where we are, pieces of our past should be stolen and used, to be up here in the now, trying to profit off of something that doesn't stand up to the same structures or the needs or the purpose that these dogs that y'all bragging about that maybe it's great in your pedigree are. You cannot put a stamp of your dog on that name and think a guy back here with like us is going to see the same purpose that made that dog great that's in your pedigree. We're just not going to be in agreement with that philosophy. It's not to be putting you down. We're just on two different railroads. You know what I'm saying? And it seems kind of harsh that we push our issue like that because we're still dealing with that Spartan mentality. Anybody who was taking a dog out there back in those days right there, they were Spartans. Just flat out, plain and simple. You got over 2,000 people at dog matches in 1 year. Somebody's doing more than 300. You know what I'm saying? They're doing more than 300. So, you got a line of people out here really putting them down. And why wouldn't it produce some that's a little better and higher than the others? There's some kennels out there that was at such a level that I call the 90%ers, and it's a true fact. There is a true fact to that word, 90%ers. And if you was a gallon man, you know what I'm saying, and a dog man who knew it was part of the dog game, you would be a fool not to know who those 90%ers were. Because sometimes if you want the greatest match of all times, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be going into a 90%er. You're a 90%er, he's a 90%er. He's got a great dog, you got a great dog. One thing that's going to bring those dogs together, and it sure as hell ain't going to be fear. It's going to be the fact that which one of these mugs is the best. That's it. That's it. The urge of having the baddest 31-pound bitch will make me come and knock on your damn door. That's what it was all about. And if you was not sure, like a lot of guys would, everybody didn't go running after hardcore. Everybody didn't just go running after Stone City. Everybody just didn't go running up on STP and Triple M and Loctite and you know, the untouchables. You know, I mean, David Tant. There was a lot of kennels right there in their own area. They wasn't too quick to running out there, even though they was claiming to be dog men. You know, a dog man that's sitting back there in them rural areas, you know, he probably a mentor to many guys. And this is what I say because I've been all over down there the country and even outside the country and seeing a lot of dog men that I really didn't see out there in the game. And I hear a lot of people talk about these mentors that they have. I don't have nothing against those type of mentors. But I'm sure hell glad that the mentors that I got were active dog men that I can tell you they in the history books. I'm glad. Y'all can't talk shit on none of my mentors. None. So that just gives me the cross like this when I go mentioning y'all and saying, a lot of guys do the pro easy. A lot of guys do the pro game out there on Facebook. A lot of guys do the pro game right here in these chat rooms right here. A lot of guys play that role. You know, looking for that recognition or at least that acknowledgement that they exist with such a knowledge that was not earned. Learned, but not earned. You know, and yes, you become a moving target for guys like us who earned. You know what I mean? We earned what we learned. You know what I mean? And so what if we take pot shots at you? You know, we still competitive regardless. You're not going to run home and get your dog like we would run home and get ours. So that puts us in a totally different place anyway. So why the big fuss? Stay in your place and I won't be threatening you with my yard. You know, you get to threaten with that yard, you know, they either going to put up or shut up because, you know, they know. You know what I'm saying? They know. You know, when you start doing that, you might not got a dog on the damn yard, but just the fact that you pushing on a button, trying to make them come out of a closet, knowing that closet is empty. It's empty. You don't have nothing to come out of there with a belief that you're ready to put your dog through some shit and think you're going to come running up over here with that dog and expecting to win. You know it and I know it. Because that's not you. So stop acting like that's you when you know it's not you. I guarantee you this will cut a whole lot of argument down in this realm of podcasting and these history and you know, these what ifs of the American Pit Bull dog game. You know, that's where there's so much back and forth. Everybody understand that. It's just no way in the world y'all can be some great dog kennel, you know, even trying to fit in my area and where we at on a bus. We're on a bus going back in time. So we're not even up here around y'all to even be trying to mess with y'all. You know, the only thing that we can say if somebody was trying to mess with me up here would be, you know, don't go messing with old people because you never know. You learn hard lessons messing with old people. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you go peeling back that banana and only want to peel off that one sleeve, but no, I want to peel off the whole sleeve. I'd be over there trying to knock on your door, you know, and wearing goggles, night glasses, you know, clicking shit when I knock on the door so you can see the light. Yeah. I'm here to clean you out. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's the old way of doing shit. We have disagreements about who got what. We can solve that problem. You know what I'm saying? By beanieing up. Let's go. But it's not like that now. So it's like Everybody's taking so to heart, like everybody got this thing to prove. There's nothing you can prove out here in a podcast except trouble. You know, the safest thing for what y'all doing is stay doing what y'all doing. Stop trying to make yourself playing a line between the illegal world and the real world. You know, the real world is the safe world. The illegal world is the underground. And there's nobody up here playing around on any podcast that I know of that's in the underground, bragging about beating up your shit. You ain't got shit. Let's do it 8 weeks. I don't hear them kind of conversations. So what's all the fussing? If y'all ain't doing that, then there shouldn't be all the fussing. There's just none. Go challenge them to a pole. Go challenge them to a wall or weight pulling. You know, you can get off on that a lot easier and fling dirt on each other a lot more than to sit there and call their dogs a piece of shit and curse. When, you know, the court's still out on your yard. You know what I'm saying? What is it? Whoever can say cur the best. coming from an air like me and Jay, you know, that's why Jay, he gets real quiet when y'all start talking foolish. Because he comes from an era where, you know, we unclip shit. You know, we start having accidents when you're going to bring your shit around. Look at my boy. Y'all don't want none of that shit. Next thing you know, a damn dog done pop the chain. Well, how the hell did he get loose? It just so happened to be your dog's size. I better not be in a quick hurry about how to get your dog. Wait a minute. You in my high. I gotta go find my sticks. Y'all got him. Let me go find my sticks. How you doing over there? You doing all right? Teach this nigga a lesson about coming over here, packing his dog up, coming over here. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's where it kind of like, that's how it used to be the Wild Wild West. You know, you just didn't cuff your shit and walk around like, you know, you got second 10 in this arm and the racing form in this hand, bragging and shit, knowing damn well this dog is not in this form running shit. He's not competing in the Kentucky Derby. What is that you're carrying? It's not in a racing form. It's a pedigree. Oh shit. Oh, hell. And then when y'all get mad at me for grabbing the journal and picking up the journal, knowing y'all ain't in it, then you get mad at me because you ain't in it. Well, what the hell? I can't win for losing. How can you get mad at me when you're not in there? I mean, you don't gotta be in there, but why I would say there's an issue because you're not. Because we can't talk about you? Something like that? Well, come on. See? Now, does that make any sense on some real tips? Because if you might have been competitive, my friend, but don't be competitive with me now. With me now. Because evidently, you know, I was in a competitive place where people got a chance to see, you know, well, I don't have to sit there and have these arguments with you. You know, all you can depend on is going back and forth with me, standing up for your shit when, you know, I can tell you to go read if you know how, but you can't send me to go do nothing but sit here and listen to you. And see, that's not cool for me because that's fraud. You know? That means you're a nobody to me because we cannot discuss you. So why would I want to keep discussing me to you? You're already, I'm here and you there. You know, you want to ride on here because I'm up here. I can't even step down to you because when I get down there, ain't nothing there. Ain't nothing there. Nothing. Nothing but your mouth. So it just makes it harder, and then that just makes people hate me because you can't call me the bully. And I'm not the bully. I'm being the fact finder. You know, and that's where, you know, I'm loosening up my tone because J-Bo gave me encouragement. Because he found the right words for me to feel like I'm not being a bad guy no more. I don't feel like I'm a bad guy no more expressing my opinions because he gave me the right way to look at it, you know, and get y'all to see and understand why y'all be out there talking like that and he don't want to hear none of that shit. You know what I mean? He ain't feeling none of that shit. And I feel him when he say that. You know, I felt the same way. He just put it in an aspect where, you know, I think it could be acceptable for everybody. You know, I come from an era, don't none of that shit make sense, and I'm not trying to down it, but I mean, I come from an era that I wouldn't have been feeding a yard full of damn dogs and doing what y'all doing with y'all dogs today. I just wouldn't do it. No, hell no. Y'all got game shit. Y'all got hella this and hella that. But, you know, in his time, and considering my time, it took a lot more than that. It took a lot more than all that, you know, for it to even be a conversation. And we shouldn't be crucified for saying that, you know. He just made it a little easier for me to find a way to be able to say it, and it shouldn't be hurting nobody's feelings, because we laugh every time he say it, and he stands 10 toes down. He don't want to hear that shit. You don't want to hear nothing about y'all and y'all good running dogs and shaking this and your puppies banging and all. He don't want to hear none. I said, because to us that shit didn't mean nothing. Nothing. The only thing that means something that was important back in our time is to match that dog. Not rolling. We don't even want to hear the off the chain shit. We want to hear sanctioned shows. That's it. That's it. I want to have my dog, if I'm going to be running all over the place with my damn dog, I want to make damn sure, you know, not the fact that I'm winning. It's just the fact that at least I'm going to win, even if I lose. You know, it's called competing. You know, even when you play in a sport, the best team still end up having to play a sorry team. You see it in basketball and baseball and hockey, and sometimes that sorry team will beat the best team. On any given day, that sorry team can win against the best team. So I think that fits in the way we see things and what we do with our dogs in the past. We're not dead, so we still carry the past with us, even though it don't fit with you guys in the future or in the now. And we're not trying to, you know. But take our mentality not as a put down or a let down, just keep it for what it is, and that's a fact. It's a damn fact that I mastered a lot of damn dogs and I knew a lot of damn kennels. That's a fact. So for anybody who want to challenge that fact, you better have the same type of facts coming, so we should be able to find each other. Remember, I can pick up some shit and read about me, you can, but I can't pick up shit and read about y'all. Then that means me and you shouldn't be having these type of conversations, because that tells me that I shouldn't be talking to you because you don't have nothing to offer back. You know, and that would just cut our conversation, because then you turn into an instant troll to me, and then you already know how I treat trolls. Because then I don't want to talk about you, me no more. I want to talk about you. And most trolls don't have nothing to talk about. They can talk about everybody but they shit. You can't even get a fact on how many dogs are they feeding. If you was even to ask one, what do you feed your dog? He's going to sound like Pro. He's going to be trying to tell you a bunch of shit that he done probably went around these podcasts and heard and trying to repeat. And half the time they get the shit mixed up and wrong. You know, that's the thing that I see today. And I think that's the problem today. We have too many of those type of people out here trying to be something what's really actually close to being illegal now. You know, y'all want to walk that gray area, you know, to promote y'all dogs. But you can't do that and share that space because it's really like phony. It really is. You can't be going in there snatching up your pedigrees. And I got a whole damn pedigree full of damn match dogs. And because of that, you know, I'm supposed to look at your dog different. When all the match dogs in there don't mean shit if you ain't lining up with that dog and doing what I would do with him. When I grab my pedigree and I got all these match dogs, I'm coming with a match dog who's supposed to line up with them damn dogs. So that puts us in two different places. So why should we ever clash? You're not in one I'm trying to be. I'm not where you trying to be. 90% of the time is you trying to be me. It gets me in your ass. Because you had the nerve to say something about me, and you don't have no place, really, no place at all to do that if I can't come back and talk about you. Then we can't even compete. We can't even shoot no back and forth shit. There's no competition, not even in that, because we'll be too busy talking about me. You know, how quick will my conversation be about you? Honestly, really, come on. No, it wouldn't be one thing that everybody can go, oh. No, they're going to say, oh, when Twin turn around and turn the tables around for you, like, now what about you? Oh, silence. Silence. But you think I can sit there and try to go back and forth with hardcore? Do you really think I can go back and forth with the Abrahams or Triple M or Super Kennels or Victor? You know, miscellaneous. I can beat them. A couple of these good guys, but they still, I'm not on their level. I got the privilege of putting some of these stripes on my sleeve, but that's about it. These guys are strictly business. I can just run them. Gator Boys, I can just keep on running them. Beach Boys, there's just so many of them. Body Snatcher, you know, the boys that had Wacko. I mean, there's just a whole array of them. These guys is way ahead of me. One thing for damn sure, when they start shooting up their shit, guess what? Our conversation won't be like a talk between like me and a guy like Pro. You know, when I get into that conversation with them about me, guess what? I can shoot back. I can shoot all the way back by us doing what we doing. We can even end up doing whatever. You know, the kind of conversations I like. You know, and with all due respect, I could never be them. You don't hear me trying to claim it. But I can give a longer conversation against them than you could me. Because I got some shit to run with. Got some shit to prove that I ain't worried about what the hell they got if you want to really get down to the point of the matter. You know, because that's the area we come from. Get your shit and I'll show you. You know, and that's probably why all my guys that I look at and look up to, you know, and I thank, you know what I'm saying, had an opportunity to see that. Because I used a lot of this shit. You didn't see me with no Abraham dogs. Not a one. You didn't see me with no Super Kennel dog. Not a one. Not a one. You know what I'm saying? That's maybe because I didn't work myself around there too. Or maybe that's not what I was using. But doesn't change the fact that their input played a big factor in my upbringing and upcoming and based on their yards of dogs. And based on that alone, I wouldn't want to go into him anyway. I talk too much highly shit about him. I don't want to be walking around hollering I beat them. No, I don't want to do it. I lost to one of my boys, one of my guys. That, you know, they look at me as a mentor. You know, we did some shit. You know what I mean? And they had a good dog too. I think she went on to make champion, didn't she? Yeah, she went on to make champion. And it was one that I bought in. You know, I can guarantee you, it felt good for him to be able to sit there and say, one day, you know, if it ever came down to it, Twin, I beat you though. He sure did. Yes, he did. I'm pretty sure that's probably a pentacle to him, because he did beat his mentor. He didn't beat nothing that, you know, that was like, you know, he beat one of them good ones, but he can say, you know, it wasn't a good one I was on, but it was, I had a chance to go into my mentor and I beat him. You know, it wasn't no big thing, but it was a good thing because, it, you know, whether it's a big thing or a little thing, it's the fact that we got together. You know? And those are things that I like pointing out. You know, because it seems like, you know, y'all guys bounce around in these chat rooms back and forth, you know, and Mike tells me about them, but then at the same time, I get bored because I feel like, you know, where is the activity? You know, this is, you know, I'm only speaking in historical and you know, fictional and the stories that we come up with. You know, that's it. You know, and there's not too many of me left out here doing that. And it ain't. You got a lot of y'all that want to be that, but it's the truth. And you can't be getting mad and trying to shoot over my bow like I done said something wrong when I ain't. You know, I ain't trying to take nothing away from you, but it's the facts. So, you know, that's what makes it hard for me to be out here. Like, you know, I feel like sometimes we got a bullseye on us. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't trying to be no big dog around a bunch of no dogs. Y'all don't have the experience or even have the idea of what I used to do. There's just not too many of them left. Where you can find those guys is in little parking places where they don't even want to be bothered with out here no more, because that's really not their place or role. They feel safer being, you know, secluded away from the I guess the newbies and the wannabes, you know, where they don't have to go through the BS that comes, because, you know, people will step on you to elevate themselves. And I guess people have stepped on them enough that they don't want to let nobody try to elevate their game on them. Me, I'm in for the competition. I wouldn't give a damn. I'll sit right out here and be ready to challenge every one of y'all out here that don't like what I'm saying, because I'm not trying to be y'all and I ain't trying to do y'all. You know what I'm saying? And I've never tried to do y'all or be y'all. But don't try to elevate up in here, because you're not in a place to do so. Because I'll let you go first before we even start with me. I'm going to let you go first and watch how fast this thing be over. You see, because I'll ride just on that start right there. I'm giving you first pick. Okay, your turn. I guarantee you ain't got nowhere to go. Show me something. Show me you belong here. Show me you deserve to get this bomb I'm going to drop on you. We wouldn't even have a start right there. We can't even start the scratching right there. So that in itself, you know, then you go home and then you got these 19,000 excuses to your fans, you know what I'm saying, why you look so bad and stupid, because you didn't have no business over here messing with me anyway. Because you just, you know, it wasn't going to work. Because I can run you a whole book. And so I think that's where, you know, I'm getting tired of this here. I'm sharing only our history. you know, and I'm sharing it in a way that, you know, that somewhere out there, I guarantee you there's somebody feeding an animal with that burn. You know, this is probably not my historical stories is for the entertainment and the educational purposes. You know what I'm saying? And I really be hoping that some of you guys can really just get into, you know, you wouldn't be so quick to talk about it if you just even took the imagination and just try to be about it. Just in your imaginary mind. Just take your imagination and step into those shoes where it didn't take somebody doing all this damn talking. It just took a date and a wait. That's it. A date and a wait. And some of the best goddamn matches you ever want to talk about.
Get on.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to start off, and I'm going to make this a short. I'm not going to do everything, but I'm going to give y'all a little taste of something that I've been trying to get to. Hey, Mike. Okay. I think, yeah, I see it. I'm straight. I see it now. Yeah. So, hey, guys, I put that out there as a PBA, as a public announcement. Because, you know, that's what's really kind of making me like, you know, tuning down. I don't even listen to the shows that much anymore unless Mike, you know, tell me go check this out or check that out. You know, because it's really, like I said, I'm like the Indian. You know, y'all done took over my country and this is what's left of it after everybody has gotten in here and just took advantage of my country. You know, you took away my country and now this is what y'all doing with it. So, you know, that's how it is for me. You know, I don't have nobody I need to be going back and forth with. I don't believe I should be ever going back and forth with anybody. Mike, is it me or is it this thing froze?
I want to give a big shout out to my man Itchy. What up, fam? Talking to City Kennels. I see you, fam. Corey Jones. What up, fam? My man D Ross in the house. What up, fam? Yo, my man King T in the house. What up, fam? You still moving?
This ain't that.
Maybe that's the program. The light ain't on up there. Going on.
Yeah, that's bad. That's the first time I've done that. Okay, guys. Seems like my camera is acting. Uh-oh. I'm back for a minute here.
How long we gonna wait?
How long it's gonna be here? I'm gonna take advantage of it while I can. Okay, guys, sorry about that. We got a chance here. Okay. This one here, I wanted to kind of start off. All right, here we go, guys. We still moving? All right, y'all can see that, right? Now, the reason why I wanted to start off with this one here, I wanted to start off with this particular dog. Remember we did that show on the 1972, I think it went all the way up to like 83, the Sporting Dog Journal, when it had Jeep, Zebo, all those dogs, championship matches. You know, they didn't really have the actual matches, but it had their pedigree and their story. They didn't really have it like this where it listed the matches. It spoke on certain matches, but it was more like, you know, this top part of the game was in there. You know what I'm saying? And this is one of them. Now, if y'all remember back in the 72 and in those old books, Andre Giroux, you know, he was a pretty good dog, man. He had a lot of dogs in those books in those early days. I think, who was that? One of my guys, I was talking about him, and I was telling him, because he had that old journal, I told him, I said, see, I don't hear you ever speaking, but you got the book, but I don't never hear you speak of Andre Giroux. Andre Giroux was in that book more than all the guys in there, including James Crenshaw and all the shit that he was putting up, you know? And so was Oddie Stevens. Rob Greenwood, you see, now the reason why, and again, why I brought this up, because just imagine this, y'all. Imagine when Andre Giroux and Oddie Stevens become friends, and they're already both good friends with Rob Greenwood, and they start making crosses with their dogs. For those guys that got the 72 to 83 Book of Champions, one day I'll go back through it, and you know, we'll go back down through this time period and really kind of show y'all. But see, these is two badass kennels that came together and started breeding their stuff. You see Ozzy on the top, and then you see Andre Giroux on the bottom, but you both see they have Mr. Ralph Greenwood. Ralph Greenwood was the catalyst to bring those two together. And they were really great dog, man, and they have always had winners. Now imagine when they taking Bert's stuff, because they're using basically the same Mr. Greenwood stuff, and then they start putting their shit together. And you're gonna notice something. You're gonna see a couple of these type of dogs from old Andre Giroux, Ozzie Stevens, and Mr. Greenwood, you know, quality line of dogs. And then you look, you know, he's, like he said, it says 1970, both Andre Giroux and Ozzie Stevens were admirers of the late Rob Greenwood bloodline and purchased several dogs from him. Beast is just one of those dogs from some of those breeds. Lenny had a bad-ass dog. Beast was bad. But, again, if you want to be a beast, you got to be the beast. And when STP went into him with Clyde, it was definitely that fight of a beast. But the trick of that one was Clyde was a bigger beast. And I think experience plays a lot of roles too. You know what I'm saying? He had all the right referees. He definitely had the right referees. You know, the Chain Gang was definitely a reputable kennel. You know, he lost to a reputable kennel, STP, and then you got Havana Chico, who refereed the dog twice and thought he could beat him. And then he go into him, you know, and STP referee. You see the makeup on how the clash work? You see the clash in there? The big Havana Chico refereed and seen the dog go twice. You know, seen him lose, and then still try to go into him after seeing him lose. And STP do him the favor after handing the dog a loss, the referee that match to the guy who refereed his match. Two great dog men, two great situations, all happening around 89, 90 when the boiling pot was boiling and all the great kennels was going into each other with their dogs. And he was just wanted to start. I wanted to start off with him, showing you that combination of these great dog men as they putting their stuff together. And not only are they putting their stuff together, they putting it down. You know, that's one of them, okay? Okay, hold on, guys. I'm going to come back and talk to you guys while I pull up the next one and stuff. I'm just going to go through some quick ones and stuff. You know, we always... Well, we always talk about the Bulls dogs like this one right here, you know, Black Bumpers. You know, we talk a lot about old Black Bumpers. You know what I mean? He is one of them early Bulls dogs, 88, 89, 90. You know, when them Bulls dogs was going down through there strong. Look at his matches, 36, 40, 38, 33. You know, a very good example of the most popular productive pedigree of today. Double bred on a great old R1 bitch, Dirty Mary, bred by Ronnie Bowles, owned and campaigned by the Jersey Boys. You know what I'm saying? Jersey Boys was a good kennel. But again, when we look down through there, we got Lightning Leo Star, best dog he went into. Not to say that these other ones weren't good, because if I flip back, just to be sure that y'all see this, I want to go back to this and point it out to you guys. See that Brian dog right there? That's Brian right there. See Brian? He lost in 39. Now let's go back to Bumpus. See Brian? There, that's Brian right there again. So Brian wasn't hesitating on going into one. There's probably the one you want to start off with when you're looking for one to go into. Brian wasn't afraid. He went into two good dogs, so we know Brian is trying. We know Brian trying. Okay? Another good dog, Bulls dogs. Like I said, 89, 90s, they was they were definitely doing, they was really before then. Before then, things started changing, right there going into the 90s, all hell started breaking loose. Thank God for Queen. But again, look at the referee. Climb Digger, Havana Chico. You know what I'm saying? Another good one, the Brown Bulldog. Oh yeah, that's that Jersey, New York area. Yeah, it was definitely. Here's another one, another good dog. When you look at his pedigree, you really see how this dog is truly bred. You know what I'm saying? Northwest, he's upper New York area. Bred by the Barbed Wire Kennels and campaigned by the New York-based Game Dog Incorporated. You know what I'm saying? Brown was a 4-time winner. If you're paying attention to this dog right here, you see Raheem and Stanley and Bubba, and then you see that P&H Kennels. I want you to keep an eye on that P&H. You know, you see in the top part of he ain't got a 1 by him, but you see it by the time he got down to number 3, you're going to see P&H DJ. Now, I want you to pay attention to some of these kennels like Brian and P&H. You know, they fall and you're going to find these dogs in a couple of these dogs win category. You know what I'm saying? But, hey, these guys are not afraid. They're trying. You know what I'm saying? P&H lost in 22. They came back again, and they lost again, but they lost in 58. They got better, even though they still lost. But that's the game, though. That's the game. Raheem and Bubba and them, they felt like they had the right dog. So they showed you that the dog can beat you long or short. And if you really want to break this dog pedigree down, we're going to see High Satchmo, you're going to see Snooty, you're going to see some Rascal, you're going to see some damn good dogs up in there. They're going to be Southern bred too. You know what I mean? Wild Kennels used to have had a pretty good line of dogs there. They used to advertise in the journal. But, you know, Red Lion Lenny, you know, there was another great kennel. You know, I just wanted to point that out. So, you know, as I slide through these things, I'm going to be making them quick, but I'm pointing out what I want to show you is what I call some great dogs. You know what I mean? As I go through this right quick. Yeah, I've got to go to my pages. Yeah. Next page here. Make it quick. Okay, here's another one. Now, when we talk about this dog, my KP. No, I wouldn't call him my KP. He was my mentor. We talk about Ohio Cash. Remember Ohio Cash? When I told you, man, you were talking about twin. What you doing, man? You got to get this dog. You got to do this dog the right way. He was this guy right here. B. Crest Kennels Bruno. This was the guy that got me and took off and showed me and Mike the way. You know, if it don't be for him, we were the ones who was able to get up there into the fast lanes, and he was our way in. He took us on a hell of a ride. You see how his dog is bred? You know, a lot of you guys don't recognize that stuff, but I'm pretty sure there's a few of y'all that do. You know, that old Battendorf nigga gator stuff, all that stuff was some pretty good stuff back then. And that he was. He was a very good dog. You know, Cleatown's Boss Man, I seen him win that one. I seen him when he beat the Abraham's Pale Rider, and I seen him when he beat Buddy. I seen all 3 of his matches. You see the referee, Abraham, and then you got McNasty's brother, Mr. T. So, you know, these are like, again, you seeing these kind of shows, you can see, if I'm there seeing it, I'm already plugged into the right connect just by him alone. Don't be for him walking me through the door, I probably would have never been able to walk through that door with anybody else. You know, again, we were just some lucky guys. I know we see Havana Danny sometime. Another great cross of dogs right here. You see that Miss Dolomite, you know what I'm saying? Stinson and Glover's champion Dolomite. You know, if you didn't know Stinson and Glover's Dolomite, that's Luther's lineages brother. For those that did not know, that's grand champion Luther's lineages brother. Double bred Jeep. Budweiser, he did end up losing one, if I'm correct, because you can find him in Champion Twisted's pedigree. He's the double bred Jeep and Twisted. Champion Twisted made a son. You know, his biggest accomplishment is when he beat the 3D Kennels, that champion Sprocket dog. You know, it was a good match because they didn't really think that Jeep dog was game as Jeep. You know, you see the Tennessee in there, you see Santos Fred there. But his best match, Mr. Joyner hanging out in there, he'll probably get a star the next time. Yo, as a matter of fact, he got his star. I see it down there in the corner. Went 1 hour and 51 minutes when he beat champion Sprocket for his championship. That's what you call body earned. Double bred Jeep dog. Look at that. That's 87 and 89. And then there's got you talking about Mr. Brusenbarton. You know what I'm saying? A double bred son of Garrett's Jeep campaign by Florida by Havana Boys. His wins include one over another champion bred by Brusenbark. You know, he also, Mr. Brusenbark, has some pretty good dogs. I remember Brusenbark, that swamp dog. You know what I mean? He had the litter mate to Goldie. And then you see Mr. Divine right there, his first match, first time out there, he went into Mr. Divine and them, you know, and that's down there in the Florida area, you know, Havana Chico, Havana Danny, they were the Havana Boys. You know? Very well-known kennel that like hardcore and all those guys, you know? They were very good kennel and definitely a pleasure to know. I got a chance to know Chico before I got to know Danny. But I got a chance to catch up with Danny. And, you know, them are some of my back in the day heroes too. You know, a lot of my heroes was Latinos. Remember Angel? You know, a lot of my heroes was definitely the Latinos. Okay, hold on, guys. Let me keep it moving. Chestnut Cemetery. Okay, I'm going to start off with this one right here, Big Daddy's Buster. This one dog right here, this is up there in a Michigan dog. You know, you can look at these dogs right here and you can just kind of, look, Brewster she was a bitch bred by, Mr. Wilcox. Remember that guy, Mr. Wilcox, we was talking about when we were talking about the guy who ended up with the queen? You know, before Joe got in trouble, you know, he ended up getting queen. Well, that's Mr. Wilcox right there, the guy that we was talking about. She was wept in February of '89 and won 3 times before she was 2 years old, all in short order. Now, let's keep in mind who we talking about now. We're talking about the 2 kennels, really the 3 kennels that she beat. She beat the Bounty Hunter, which was later on became the original Bounty Hunter, same shit, same family. Nasty Girl in 16 minutes. There go Doc Pepper. You know, there's my boy Armin. We catch him inside our room every once in a while, hanging out with us. You see, he the only one got a 1 by his name. So, you know, next time y'all see Armin in the room, you know, like I said, you know he is that, and that is definitely all it is fast lane. Anytime you up there in that Michigan zone, you're going to some fast lane guys, because every one of them was fast lane. Then you got Daz and the Bounty Hunter. They tried to come back and take her. They did last longer than anybody else. They go Pepper being on as the referee. You know, just imagine. You know, they're trying to be the dog that's wiping them out. So you know, if you look how the breeding is, who we dealing with? We dealing with another James Crenshaw breed. You know, old Homer. That's James Crenshaw's Homer. Okay, here's my next one. Another good friend. You know, I'll be telling y'all he was up in the New York area. I ran around with the fellas up in New York. These are some of those fellas. You know what I'm saying? Up there in the Buffalo area, Canada area. This is Biorio. Oh, Biorio, he had that cemetery rest female. There she is right there being the female, the bottom side. But look how she's bred. You know, look at the cross. You got Red Boy crossed with that Wright's Champion Jill stuff. You catch that stuff in that old Journal 72 journal and stuff. But look at the people. That's bred and campaign off his yard. You know, another good friend. A guy I met in my journey. Became good friends with him. I became good friends with a lot of these guys up there. You know, Willie's Molly. That's old Willie. They go Joe D as the referee. You got Joe D as the referee. You got Andy Bass Company, another great kennel. You know what I'm saying? And as you can see, they didn't have no problem going after anybody. You know, you got old man Mr. Bill there, Joe D, and then you got Brioro. What do you do? Sell chestnut? You know what I'm saying? Bad and Company turned around, ended up buying her after beating her, after losing to her, and then they turned around and lose. And then they lose with him as the referee. You know, win 4, he bothered for to go for a grand championship, and what does she do? She turns around and lose in 41 minutes. Yeah, and then, you know, the 18, that's them boys up there in the Canada area. You know, they lost to them. At 43, they really did. Molly and Willie did better than everybody else. Okay? Let me keep it going. You know, what I'm doing is going through these and showing you this is what it looks like. A lot of these names, you can see they're dog men. Will you find them in some of your pedigrees? Yeah, you could find them in some of your pedigrees. Well, here's another one of my favorites. Oh, Oddie Stevens, Charlie Boy. Another good dog. I mean, look at all the great dog man that he whooped. Remember I told you, old Ozzy wasn't nothing to be played with, y'all. Ozzy was a dog man. Campaigned by Mr. Gress and campaigned by Oddie Stevens to some of the very best from the North. None of his matches were walkovers. All of them going over the hour-and-a-half mark. Every single one of them. But look who he's beating. Captain America. Hour 33. Buffalo Soldiers, Mister. Got a 2 for that one. Hour and 32. STP's Revenge. Another 2. Hour and 42. Poconos Rick. Jesse Rod Whitefoot. Another good dog. Went 3 hours with him. Captain America, the referee. See, when I say the fast lane, you notice we're in different areas now. We different in different areas, but you're going to see these same old guys popping up in some of these areas because this is what you call traveling. 80, 88, 90, 91. Okay? We're always talking about, the Cobra dog. I would always say this is one of the first Red Boy Jeep crosses, up there in our area. You know what I mean? You got Tim's George, you got Greasy Corner Kids. That's probably one of the best kennels that he went into. And then that Dozier dog, he was a good one. But, he's recognized. You don't see the dogs with no marks on them. But who doesn't know Greasy Corner Kid? Maybe he didn't have the name to deserve one. But we know Cobra breeding. Cobra beat that dog, beat him, okay? And he beat him in 48 minutes. Mr. Langsford, he's got to start by his name, so, they might not have the lineup kennel, but you can best believe, and I'm pretty sure if that's not Joe D's Cobra, it might be, but that's a Jeep Red Boy dog. Okay, that's another good kennel. Here's one of these kennels that I've always thought highly of, really never understood their breedings, unless I went, really took a hold of them because they were a Mexican kennel. And they did dogs on both sides of the border. That was the one thing about them. They did dogs on both sides of the border. And there's some other guys that bred and did their own stuff. And as you can see, there go Miss E. Crenshaw, another bad breeder. You know what I'm saying? But as you can see, Mexicans have always been regarded as some of the best pit bull men in the world. The Antonio Bellon Club's Coco is the latest of one in a long line of exceptional dogs. Cocoa is reputed to have won several more matches in Mexico that have gone unreported in this country. One-time winner over there in Mexico. You added them all up. He was a hell of a 39, 40 pounder. 47, 40, an hour and 24. Probably was a decent dog. At Bellon Club was not another kennel that you wanted to run into. They were definitely hard to beat. If you look at some of the E. Crenshaw stuff, one thing that he was doing, you'll find E. Crenshaw smoking them and major. So when you guys want to go in there and tag in and pull up what's behind all that, you'll be flipping over some pages. Just pointing some of these guys out here for y'all right quick. Let's see, what page am I on now? 9.
Want to give a big shout out while he doing that? The Corner Boy Kennels, I see you, fam. Marquise B, what up, fam? Big shout out to J Rock 735 coming in with a 5-piece showing the love with the super sticker. Appreciate the love, fam. Cosmic Cow TV in the house, what up, fam?
Okay, y'all on to the next one while Mike is shouting out. We're going to Red Kennels and Bulldogs Cujo. What interested me about Cujo? He's another dog that does not have a fancy pedigree, but won 3 in some of the very fast company in Florida. There go Havana Danny, there go the Latin Boys, there go G-Man, there go Rebel Kennels. He a big boy. 53, 54, catch weight. Had good referees, but see, you don't have to have a great pedigree You don't even got to have any type of pedigree. You know, you go back there, you know, you'll find Jack Kelly's dogs in there. You'll find, go back there and pull up Jack. That's Jack Kelly Spike. You know, but like it's not such a great pedigree that, you know, it would stand out and probably didn't produce shit. But guess what? He was definitely a match dog. You know, and what this, I would love to have rubber kennels under my belt. Okay. Bobby Boy's Crush. Okay. Another one to be speaking of is that old Giroux stuff. Old Bobby Boy's Crush. Look at that. They used some of that old Irish Tim's Patelli dog. You know, that fox dog. Look at their stuff. Double bread on the bottom. Crossed with some of that old Ralph Greenwood cross. With some of the Giroux, like I said, Giroux, Ozzy was definitely in the Mr. Ralph Greenwood's dogs. You know what I'm saying? And this is just an example of what I'm pointing out. Ralph Greenwood and Andre Giroux were good friends and often interbred their respective dogs with each other. Booger was a product of that breeding, but was owned by Island Kennels. Arluska bred Booger to a bitch line bred of Patelli's fox to produce this champion. You know, we see Vinny there, we see Pete there. You know what I'm saying? We see Annie. We look at the referees and you know, you don't see nothing spectacular. But the one thing you do see, it's in the book and it is recorded. So regardless, whether it's got a star or one, you know what I'm saying? If you wanted to talk shit and say, well, who did he beat? Well, you can't. You mean it's not really a pick and choose thing, but when you get a name, then you know the responsibility is to, you know, clear that up, you know. But it's like, you know, he didn't go for no 4 times or 5-time winner. You know, he would have had one there, some or a good referee. At some point in his career, it would have got there. But not taking nothing away from the dog, because guess what? Booger got points for that. So some of them all 1 point that Booger got definitely came from him too. So his name would be embedded in the Giroux's Booger. Anytime you go to pull up that all-win, you will find old Crush there. So he won't be forgotten whether who he beat or anything like that. He served his purpose. There's another dog that we see sometimes, very seldom, but he is out there in those pedigrees. You know what I'm saying? This is some of that Klaus stuff crossed with some Chinaman. You know, that's that same old Klaus stuff. We go back there and look in there and we find some Swamper in there. Same old stuff you find in that Klaus stuff or that Grand Champion Buck stuff. Knowing when you cross it, you're going to get results. Because remember, Buck is a Klaus cover cross. And what do you think this is? It's a Klaus cover cross. Yeah, when we start going back to Eli and Snooty and all them, and, you know, we're going to find that lineup. You know, another good dog. South Central area of the country. You know, you got the Shockley there, Nitro. You got the dog catcher, you got Hodges. You know, you got good referees, dog catcher Wayne R and the dog catcher. So, you know, he's got reputable. You know, they got the dog catcher with a 1, but they don't want to put the 1s by the referee name. You know, so you know he didn't have a stake in it because he refereed it and he lost to him. That's the worst thing, going in it, you have a referee ref your match, and then the next thing you know, the referee calling you out. You know, I used to take those too. Okay, get myself back over here and line up the next one. Okay, I'm coming up on 12:30, y'all, so it's not, I'm going to be coming and joining in here shortly here. And we can continue up, pick this up on a later time. I just wanted to go down through here and point out some of these dogs here. Is another good one I wanted to bring up to y'all attention. You know, my boys up there in New York again, Andy Bad Company and the Camps Gunslinger. Another Andre Giroux Cross. You know what I'm saying? They go tattoo. I see Red B there. You know? Got two good referees. You want an R59, that shows great gameness. Bred by Vinny Camp from a strictly Andre Giroux breed. Bloodline. You want all three up there in the cold country. That's up north, that Buffalo area where they hang out at. And the Bad Company and them, I've even enjoyed many nights up there in that Buffalo area seeing some great dogs. Sometimes you used to let them talk about handicap. You swear to God, you didn't think handicap was the bulldog they think everybody talk about, because them boys up in New York knew some stuff about handicap. That, you know, thank God he did get up out of that New York area, run over there to California. You know, he had a bounty on him. There was guys out there ready to prove he wasn't a bulldog. They claim he was up there in that New York area. See, that's the little stories that y'all don't know about. There's the great and handsome dog that everybody portrayed as a good dog. A lot of people a lot of guys talk shit about him. You know, a lot of dog, man, they talk shit about him. But here's the funny thing about him. Hampson was one of the first dogs imported from the United States to Holland, bred by Pat Patrick. All his matches were in Holland. A champion since 1983. His championship wasn't requested until 1990. 1990. The dog in this dog's fourth generation pedigree goes back to the early 1950s. That goes back to Maloney's too. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Goldie, Mr. Waters Goldie. I mean, that's one of them. No, but he, like I said, he was done in Holland. But he made it back over here, made it into the journal. Okay. I'm gonna do maybe, let's see, I got 3 more I'm going to do, y'all. I'm going to do Armin's Heart Attack, Abraham's King David, and Rossi Man's Lady Stone. Some interesting ones for y'all. Okay, here's another one, y'all. There's Armin right there. You know, like I said, he being in our chat room, he was one of the guys that would start off with true colors. Armin, Big Ralph, Suburbanite Paul. Did I get them right? Yep, and Tony Rogers. Them 4. They was the originators of True Colors. And then they broke off. Armin went on his end with this nice ass champion. I actually seen Heart Attack go. I saw it when he beat Frankenstein. I saw it when he beat Julio. And I remember when Julio beat him with the black and white dog. It wasn't really Julio. I think it was Ralph. Wasn't Ralph, it was Joe. I know it was one of them. It was Big Rob that got him with the Julio dog or Joe Abraham. But again, I saw the Frankenstein Julio son, you know, and there was some good matches. You know, 38, 31, 55, 40. He was not, like I said, you know, bred by B. Watson from a pure Maurice Carver bloodline won 3 against the good competition of the Motortown area before losing his last time out. Remember I told you that D-Line Express up there in that Michigan was definitely a place that can break you. It can break you. He was in good place with good dogs, and he won 3 and then he lost. But you get a chance to see him. He's always in our chat room. You know, respect the game because he was definitely one of those. You see the ones. You see the referees. Some of you guys would love this to have the referees match, you know, judging matches. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it would be a privilege, right? I know it would be one for me too. Okay, I'm going to move down this page. I'm going to go down to I'm going to start up here with the LA Dream Team. You know, these them California boys. You know what I'm saying? Y'all see that Sorrel stuff? That Ronnie Sorrel stuff? Them dogs was some good dogs. Real good dogs. He got a good name for himself. He lost a G&G Combine Bill in 48 minutes. Pretty good match. From 89 to 91. Another good line of DOGMEN, Texas Express. You know, they was definitely into the boat. Some of them Bolio dogs. They have a lot of great bred dogs too, though. Let me keep that correct. You know, they was down there in that Texas area. You know what I'm saying? You see Kirkland, the one that had Texas. You know, they lost to Kirkland's Julianne. You know, another good one. You don't see the ones, but you see the credible referees. Abraham. King David Jr. Abraham's King David Jr. Okay. Yeah, that's King David. That's right. King David. Which one of them we seen lose, Mike? We seen King David lose. Yeah. It was
King David.
Yeah, we saw, King Dog Daddy, King David, we seen him lose. But he lost to Boss Man, didn't he? Yeah, he's one of them dogs. He lost to Boss Man. But then, as you see, one of his victims is Stormin' Norman. Yeah, that's the same old Stormin' Norman. You see, he got a 1 by his name. That's the one that disappeared with little Mayday. You know, you see Big Ralph there, and then you see Sonny's Screaming Bullets. Sonny should have had a 1 by his name. But he got reputable referees. Good match. Yeah, Stormin' Norman, you lost 36. Dog had that capabilities. He went an hour and 16. Stormin' Norman's referee went an hour 15. You know, all that's that up north Motown area, that Michigan area. You know, it's going to be a hard drive and a hard work when you up in that area playing anyway. Wasn't nothing easy up there, y'all. Trust me. Nothing. Shout out to Big Ralph. Another good one. Okay, I got one more before I call it a night, y'all. I saved the best. I saved my man for last. It's my man right here. I'm saving for last. Roster man, Lady Stone. For everybody who didn't know, you know who Roster man was, and you know how deadly he was to the game. Well, he got several of these. You know. When you go looking for the best, he didn't dodge nothing. Yeah, you see it. Yes, yep, that's Miss Yellow. Yeah, that's her. Yeah, that's Savannah Boy Danny, Mr. Durant's Jelly Roll. Yeah. Blondie with a 3, 2 hours and 5 minutes, straight bulldog. There was Sonny Platt, referee. Mr. Harris, you know, they got good referees. But that's it. Butch Fox, the breeder of Lady Stone, was not particularly well known outside of his home state of North Carolina. The folks in the Tar Heel State know he was a great breeder, and Lady Stone was his masterpiece. See, this is one of them kind that I was talking about where you just don't know. You don't know none of these guys, but they're in that area. But look, when you're sitting up there with Zebo, with a Zebo cross, and then you got Lopez's Buster going across with some Zebo, you know, you ought to be glad this dog went 2 hours. Lady Stone, and this is the one that y'all gonna tell me that she wouldn't have went with Tornado. Huh? You know, she would have been a grand champion, Lady Stone. She was a champion. She never made it to a Tornado. This is the bulldog that they would have been putting on Tornado. Yes, sir. So let me just make sure that when everybody go poking their chest out, oh, Kenny Adams going to kill old Lady Stone. Well, I tend to agree with Roster Man. If Kenny Adams believed that he would have bought her, he would have had every opportunity to bring her. You know? But see, these things down in history of me telling you about it, you know, I would never got around. But, you know, this is what makes the book important for me, because I can go out here and pull up very same guys that y'all watch on different shows or been on this show and discuss shit. These dudes is bulldogging. You know, y'all can't put no candlestick to this shit. You ain't gonna be bringing me somebody nobody know about and then be hollering he was better than Roster Man. You sound like a fool trying to tell that to somebody like me. Knowing I was looking up to these guys, I got a chance to see him go. You know, and he was not an easy guy to beat. But I'm gonna this one, take a good look at that one right there. You know, she might be my dog of the night right here. Leave that up for y'all to make the decision. Out of the dogs that we've seen, you know. Yeah.
Big shout out to my man in the house, my man. Big bro, Mr. Randy Fire, a.k.a. My house. What up, bro?
Yeah, my man Mama's in the house. Hey, big shout out to my big bro. He, you know, he been helping me with my diet. He sent me a lot of information. You know, that's really helping me. He's been a big supporter of my health. Really big help. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Mama said twins, that DS champion Cobra is Dave Miller on Ohio's champion Cobra. He later won Best in Show at the large convention at Rebel Kennels. Yeah, the next day got busted. Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, we remember that. Hey, thank you, big bro. I knew that was Dave. That's who I was thinking of, Dave Miller. That's right. And I know he was up in Ohio. You're definitely correct.
Big shout out to my man Marquise B. He said, to be fair, some guys got that one or that asterisk next to their name later on in life, later on in the game. That is true.
Well, back in '88, you see Sonny P? If he got that asterisk, a lot of them you don't see. And a lot of the guys, like I was saying, sometimes you will see, like you'll see Sonny P in this match above you. You know what I'm saying? And you wouldn't even know who the hell that was. You know? So, you know, it's just all about, you know, a lot of them picked it up because they were reporting their matches in the journal. Start recognizing when you're reporting, when you're doing dogs, and your matches are being refereed by reputable referees, and you matching win or lose, you will get recognized. You know, you will get recognized. We know Durant, we know Tant, we know Havana Boys. You know, we didn't know Presley, but I'm pretty sure you know Presley now. He had a 1 by his name, you know. And pretty sure if you run into guys like them guys right there, you deserve to, to get recognized because you're out there in the fast lane, and it's not easy to win in the fast lane. As we have to say about old Laser up there in the Great Lakes. Big Daddy Laser, he was one of them rough ass paddling dogs. He had a good mouth. He had a lot of ability. Look at his matches. 32, 34, 23. He bounced between 59 and 55. But again, he lost to Addie and them bad company. Sooner or later, you're going to run into it. Third match, Wayne and Guy. Wayne up there in the Cleetown. Motor City's Mr. T, another good dog, man. Rifleman, the referee. Suburbanite Paul's in the third match. Big Ralph is refereed the fourth match. Andy Bad and them out of the New York area coming down clear across to the Motor City. This is what I call fast lane and how we moved back then. Our circle was the fast lane. You know what I'm saying? That's actually the country was our fast lane. Wherever the competition calls is where we want to go. A big dog was campaign in the tough, competitive Great Lakes. You know what I'm saying? Again, Suburbanite Paul and Big Ralph and Ralph Rifleman, all good kennels. Andy Bad, we done already seen two of his champions. Okay? Now that's just a start. I can finish the rest of this stuff later. I'm gonna go back down. What you say? I'm gonna end it right there on that one right there. My boat, Lady Stone for Dog of the Night, y'all. If I can pull her up and put her up there on my screen before I walk up out of here tonight, she will be there. But I'm gonna close out with reason why I do this. The reason why I do this is to point out something that a lot of you don't see enough of. And what I'm pointing out matches. You can take them as you want them, but what I look for when I bring you on my bus is imagine that being you, knowing that the very people that we show in some of these books, like the very people that's in the room, like Armin, Mau, these are fast lane dog men out here sharing, they space with y'all. You know what I'm saying? They I'm not on their level. You don't hear me talking shit like I am. You ain't never heard me talk shit like I'm just as good as Mau and them. Let him tell it, he gonna tell you he is. But let me tell it, I'm gonna be humble with my shit because I wouldn't have never been what I am without him. So if I couldn't do it with, by just riding on my own ride, no, I needed help. And I was willing to listen and learn and got that help. Even with me being sick, I'm getting help. Still. So, if he jump up there and tell you that I'm just as good as them and I came a long way because he watched my growth, you think I'm going to say, stop it? Hell no, I'm going to sit there and be like a little cat or a little dog while he's petting me on my head telling me, good boy, tail gonna be wagging like a damn puppy. Because, that's a lot of compliment coming from somebody that I think so highly of to this day. You know what I'm saying? So, that's how I rise with that. That's why I don't have to be better than them. I don't have to be bigger than them to stand on a pedestal amongst them. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get self-proclaimed. I got pulled up and said, come on up here, boy. You worked hard enough to get this. And got the opportunity to stand strong with those guys. Thank you to those guys. That's why I bring these matches out and I show you guys and I point these things out. I point their pedigrees. I show you the people involved. So those people that don't seem like they ever made it to this level right here want to talk shit and act like this wasn't shit. I just want to make sure that they understand that shit can fly with no-name people who don't know no better, but that shit don't fly to people like me. As long as that shit is being slung around like that, I'm going to always be that bus stop to put your ass in check. Because you ain't in here don't mean it ain't shit. what it mean that you wasn't shit to be in here. Okay? So let me make that point clear when you say that to a real dog man who know what competition is. You won't piss and shit nowhere around my tree. That is going to be unheard of until I leave this channel shit alone. I'm going to be putting my foot down on that shit. There's too much flinging dog shit around here. And ain't no real dogs pissing on trees. So, you know, y'all going to respect the trees that I got planted around here. Or I'm going to be starting to act real ignorant about it. And I'm going to tell you how I'm coming at you. I'm going to be forcing y'all to speak up on what you did before you say anything about what I did or anybody else did. If you can't stand on that level to speak up for yourself and have receipts to show me something, then you need to sit your ass down when the real dog man is in the room and shut up and enjoy the show. I'm going to leave it right there.
And there it is.
Okay, Mike. Thank y'all for coming out, fellas. We're going to continue this. We got more to go. We got some more to show up. You know, just a walk down history, man. That, yeah, I'm not going to let it go. We got to keep it. We got to keep that shit alive. Because I don't want y'all to start getting fooled by this other shit and get your heads all twisted up into this new shit. Like, you know, this old shit don't mean shit. Shit, this old shit mean a lot. They don't want you to remember what's back here. Because what's back here was what making what they're running around with in their back pocket. Papers. That's it. No work.
Nothing to show for nothing.
If they want to share my space, no, you're not going to share my space. You know, we're not going to do that anymore. Because I'm headed out the door. And I got a lot of guys that I got carrying on my back, you know, that I'm carrying with me to make damn sure that history will not forget them. Not when it comes by me, because I got a lot to be thankful for.
I was trying to tell you this a nice way about it, but you know how Mo get. Mo want to break out shit. Look, and let me think. I trust what he say. Because he can show you better than he can tell you. And you know how that shit go around here. You know what I mean? Don't talk about it, be about it. If you're going to come with some shit, better come with some receipts. When it came down to this bulldogging, man, some of us take it a lot more serious because you don't really, if you ain't never done it, and you fall in that trend of reading papers and all of a sudden you become this expertise dog man all of a sudden and ain't done shit. Been in it 15 years and you can't pull up not one nothing.
And put down the journal because you ain't in it.
Because you ain't in it.
No.
Well, okay, you can have that for the ones who want to hear that.
We're going to eat your ass up
but,
about it.
You know, for as ones that would say we on a different type of level because where we played, respect that. That's where we at.
Get in your lane and stay.
Get in your lane and stay in your lane. Not everybody did what everybody else was doing. But that ain't our fault. That's what we're trying to get y'all to understand when I sit around and look at everybody who got something to say. At least the people I got something to say about or Mo got something to say about. You know, look, Paige, he just dropped in a couple. We could do this. Look, we can't run out of dogs. So what make all of them so wrong and all of a sudden you so damn right? That got me like, y'all got this all twisted. That shit work on them people who don't know no better. But we all ain't dead yet. So you want to talk about some real bulldogging, stay back here where we at.
Enjoy the show.
Enjoy the show.
That's the only reason we're doing it. Right.
Respect the ones who was willing to do this.
Make the way.
Left a receipt. See, the ones that help us, the ones that we call our mentors, we're going to find in the book. And they not just find them in the book, You're going to find them in your damn pedigree if you got the right shit. Them is totally different type of people. Different type of dog men using different type of dogs. Y'all gonna learn to respect that. That's all we asking you to do.
We ain't got nothing to do with y'all.
We ain't got nothing to do with what you do.
We ain't on the same level.
But when I hear y'all talking, I don't hear you talking about Rostman. I don't hear you talking about Mama. I don't hear you talking enough about Ozzy. I don't hear you talking enough about The Undertaker. I don't hear you talking enough about Big Ralph and the Abrahams and Armin, because y'all don't know them. But I guarantee you, I bet you I'll find every name I just named more than once in this book. And I'm looking in the Book of Champions. Now, how about that? Now, add that to your conversation. If you ain't got to get the information so you can really help them create the ultimate bulldog. Make it worthy of having a damn paper with these dogs' name in it. Come on, man. But then again, we don't know shit, right?
Right.
We don't know shit. We too old. Be careful what you say and how you say it. That's all I'm saying. You stay in your lane. At least respect the ones up here because of the lane they played in. Got nothing to do with you. Because believe me, everybody in that book did not give a damn about what and who they was going after. And you will notice that. And remember the connections, how they was breeding up and people hooking up. All because when you know what good look like, it's important for you to find out how you need to get that in your yard. That's how we roll. That's how they roll. They created shit. It was they shit. Now it's not this person's shit or that. I bought that dog. No, they bred their own shit and they ran their own shit. When you successful with your own shit, believe me, we trying to be like them. I am proud of what we done, and we have done nothing compared to them. Stop it. And remember, I need you to help me out here. Y'all know what time it is on the way out of here. Give me some damn thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Muscles. 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 Now, give us some damn roses. Roses. We need them damn roses.
Y'all got some great ones out there watching the show tonight. Thank you for stopping in, Big Bro. And thank you for stopping in, all you other fellas out there, Armin and everybody else out there. I don't really read the chat.
Pit Dog, you know we ain't forgot you. You already know, dog. You up in that New York area. You man, come on now.
Pit Dog been on our show.
Been on our show. Y'all know what's up, man. The sniper. Jiggle. Jiggle. Jiggle.
So, hey, respect the game, know the name. All right?
That's all I'm saying, man. And one thing we always going to have in common when we dealing with these bulldogs. I hear a lot of people like, got to keep scratching and all that. I mean, you don't understand what that really means. Y'all don't understand the importance when we say we always. Tell them, on.
We always.
I mean, damn it, we always scratch the win.
Every time, fellas, get that. I need to see them the muscles and all that good stuff, fellas, because we're back here in the Dogman time now. We on the yellow bus. We on the yellow bus.
Respect
that. Come on now.
Hey, man, appreciate everybody for showing up. Talk Shit Tuesday. And there goes another one. Until Friday, man, y'all stay safe. Stay loyal to the game. Mo, who your dog in tonight, bro?
My dog tonight gonna be Roasted, man. Hold on, let me pull it up before we close out the night. I gotta get him out. I'm going with Lady Stone.
Big shout out to Deep South Country in the house. I see you, fam. MB for fire. Appreciate the love, fam. Man, I love to see my old crew up in here. They gonna keep it real. I know why y'all here, because y'all know we gonna let them know.
Where the music at, man?
Okay. Hold on, man. I'm working on it. Hold on. I'm working on it, bro. I'm working on it, bro.
Yeah, we can't.
I got all hyped up and everything.
You gotta hide. Just settle down, baby. Settle down.
Shit, mama over in the house. You know, bro always be on the back street just looking no more.
Yeah, he always do. He don't say nothing, but I know he's back there.
He come in. All right, bro. Let me get you started here. All right, here we go. Got it up, Mo?
Yeah, hold on.
You do that while you doing that. I have this pump a little bit. While you working on that, man? Let me get this thing over here going so I can hear what's happening.
Picture of it, because this page right here. Get that one right there.
That ain't her. Can't be, she ain't never lost.
No. I like to put it up there just to make it clear. There she
Yeah.
go. Here we go. Dog of the night. Champion Lady Stone never lost the Grand Champion Tornado, y'all. So y'all trying to hear that shit out there? All that clapping, that never happened. Lady Stone and Tornado never happened. In fact, she was ducked by Ricky Jones and Kenny Allen. Ricky Jones told Rusty Man he could get a shot at Tornado with Lady Stone, but would have to meet Havana Boys champion Blondie first. Rusty Man and Lady Stone did just that, but the Rebel and the A-Team quickly had a change of heart after Blondie's loss. That's right. Lady Stone whooped Blondie that night. Yes, she did. And then the Rusty Man used the bitch Rusty Man used into Tornado was his Sadie bitch, who Kenny Allen said wouldn't scratch at 30. Rusty Man scratched her at 40 to win the bet. Yeah, y'all see that little posse buster Z-Bo? Yeah, that little posse buster Z-Bo. Yes, sir. Bully Son and Art's missing.
Yeah! Let him know, Mo!
I'm trying to, man. Gotta get y'all back into this bulldog world. I'm getting all, I don't know what sleigh y'all riding.
I'm out of here!
We out, man. Love you, fellas.